Greetings, everybody. That's not it. The hell? There we go. Hey, man. Shit. Okay. All right. Yeah, here we go. All right. Another day of sitting in this damn chair since like 9 o'clock this morning. And literally just got up about 30 minutes ago to go get something to eat. I had not put anything in my mouth but cranberry juice and water all day. And keep that. So now I'm going to share something with you. That. That. I literally just finished eating. That's why I'm late. Okay. Yeah. It happens to okay. All right. So, I can't. These niggas mad at me on on TikTok. They mad at me on TikTok. They say I can't come back on their shit. They say I can't come back on their shit until tomorrow. And it's like, your mouth too slick, bitch. You're like, nah, we ain't messing with you. Your mouth be too slick. Girl, I wouldn't have been able to sit up right if I had not gone and gotten something. I mean, literally, I have not moved from this chair since 9 o'clock this morning. And I had so many intentions for the day, but I literally have been either on the phone or on this computer trying to figure out my life. Yeah, we're going to do that instead. So, everybody, check your emails. I sent out a gang of emails today, like a gang. Hey, man. Sent out a gang of emails today. Okay? So check your emails tonight. And this phone is so trash. Sleepy. Oh. All right. I'm just hearing about how ICE killed a legal observer today, a woman. I haven't been on social media except posting, whenever I'm doing stuff, posting stuff to Facebook. I did another mass push to get people to support my what you call it, my ugh, I don't like that. My GoFundMe. So I did a bunch of updates on that, and sent out 1,000 emails and more applications, and it's crazy. I started doing this GoFundMe. I think it was at the end of November is when I launched the GoFundMe, and and it is what it is. Like I kept saying, yeah, I get it. I'm telling y'all that the reason I did the GoFundMe is because I am still currently being impacted by the fires. Like my job, like a lot of people's jobs, who even if their house didn't burn down, their pockets were punched hard by the fires. And then that was compounded by those insane ice raids just 3 months later. And so we haven't recovered. And I launched this fundraiser in November. And I'm gonna tell y'all something. This process of attempting to like resolve this issue with my housing situation, I've just been thinking all week, like, if it is this hard for me to take advantage of these the so-called resources that are available for people here. Their big thing is we want to keep people in their places and all of this stuff. Y'all would not believe the last 48 hours. I mean, it's been insane. It's demoralizing. It's insane. And all I kept thinking, because it was the same way when the fires happened. I'm gonna tell y'all a little story. I didn't intend on it, but since today everybody's talking about it's a year later, that's why I got on that. It's like today and yesterday, everybody has been talking about it's been a year since the fire. This is the week of the anniversary of the beginning of the fires. And to see people, it's interesting, but to see people doing interviews, standing on property that quote used to be their home, and there's still nothing there. And this is the not so, this is the well off people. This is the Pacific Palisades folks. You feel me? These are the people whose houses were worth millions. You feel me? And even they, listening to this woman talk and her family, 3 generations of family. She came here from Yugoslavia 50 years ago. And, and to baby, let me tell you something. I only watched one interview because there's no way to adequately communicate what happened here and what is still happening here as a consequence of these fires. And I have pretty regularly brought this up since the fires because, first of all, I was so frustrated by how quickly people just kind of forgot about it. That is what really blew my mind. It really blew my mind that 2 months after, not even 2 months, not even 2 months, weeks after the fires, it was no longer on the news. It was no longer on social media. I was like, this period that we are living in is really So insane. So insane. And even months later, let me tell you this first, because I've been up in here for a week now, literally since September, but urgently for the last 2 weeks, trying to get some kind of help with my housing situation. And because at the end of the day, man, if your ass go a month without paying rent, especially in LA, it's almost impossible to get back in front of the game. Then if your hustle is compromised and you done missed that, I'm just telling you, it's too easy to get caught up in a hurricane out this beach, right? And so when the fires first happened, I got a little bit of damage, nothing major. It was more from the windstorms than it was like our place wasn't impacted by the like direct fire. It was wind damage. It was crazy. It was like a goddamn tornado out this bitch. That's why the fires spread so rapidly and so radically, was because when the fires first happened, for whatever reason, there was a wind pickup in the whole city that was literally like hurricane style winds. I've never seen anything like it in the city. And so I was in my house. And I'll be honest, I told y'all a couple weeks ago, it was the most scared I've been since I've been in LA. I didn't felt my first earthquake, you feel me? I was like, oh, that's all that is, you feel me? There had been a fire when I was living in San Gabriel up in the mountains, and we could see it from our house. But this thing that happened so close to Los Angeles Center, to see the fires spreading in like Beverly Hills and Hollywood Hills, that's like blocks for me. To wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning and the sky, I took pictures. There are pictures in my Facebook folders. To wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning and the sky be black like night, but you know it's day because you can see a little bitty ring that is the sun. Where I'm at. That was the first day when the fires were still all the way in Pacific Palisades. To give you an idea, it takes me in light traffic 45 minutes to ride from my house to Pacific Palisades. And the first day where it was just Pacific Palisades, in right here in West Hollywood, the sky was pitch black and moving. It was fire, it was smoke, it wasn't cloud, pitch black. And I could literally from my apartment see a little ring that was the sun. And my cats were freaking out. The dogs in this neighborhood, every dog was barking. It was insane. It was literally horror movie insane. And for the first 3 days, I was up in here like, it was so crazy. I was up in here like, what do you call the word? It's like shell shocked, yo. I didn't want to go out of the house. I was peeking out of the windows like I was looking for the police or some shit. It was fucking scary. It was scary. Everybody was obsessed with this app on their phone because the app would tell you, they told you right away to download the app so you could know if you needed to evacuate. It was scary. It was really, really scary. And when the fire started spreading, there were two things happening at the same. There were three things happening at the same time. I told y'all, like, you can go online now. My name is online now as an official candidate to run for office in the city, right? And I just remember, I remember trying to just drive to the Ralph's supermarket because I didn't have nothing in the house. The cats, I didn't have a carrier case. I was like, are we going to have to get up out of here? Am I going to have to carry screaming ass cats in the car with no carrier? I was freaking out. I didn't know how serious it was going to be. I'll be honest. I was up in here stressing. I was like, I don't want to leave my books. I know that sounds crazy. I know that sounds crazy, but I was up in here stressed. I was like, but my books. I won't worry about shit else up in here, but my books. I was like, I don't want my books to burn up. I'm telling you, I can laugh about it now, but in retrospect, I was literally up in here plotting. Like, do I have any boxes where I can take my books? And because there's a big old hole up underneath the concrete staircase. I was like, can I get a lot of my books up under the staircase? So even if this bitch burned down, our books will be okay. I was up in here tripping, y'all. Tripping. And once like maybe 3 days in, it was like I did not leave here for 3 days, period. I did not walk out of my front door for 3 days. And I finally had to leave because we ain't had shit up in the house. The cats ain't had no food. I ain't had no food. We ain't have shit. And so I just went right down the street, like maybe a half mile from here to go to the grocery store. And y'all, it was still pitch black out this bitch. As a matter of fact, day 3 was when the fire started seriously spreading from Pacific Palisades. It's pitch black outside. And there are people still sitting outside at restaurants, outdoor seating at restaurants, people eating and drinking coffee and shit. And it's pitch black outside. I said, what the hell is wrong with people? Or have we become so utterly desensitized? Hold on. Have we become so utterly desensitized to catastrophe that people out here 3 days in, the fires lasted for 3 weeks. They didn't get the fires under control for almost 3 weeks. And day 3, when we at the peak of this bullshit, and people outside at restaurants. As a matter of fact, it was so bad that people who worked, regular jobs, people who worked at grocery stores, people who worked at restaurants, that bars and shit like that, finally had to stage a whole contest with the mayor and the city to force their bosses to let them go home, to basically not force them to come in. This shit was crazy. It was crazy on so many levels, because when I left this house to literally go a half a mile, not even a whole mile down from my house to go get something to eat for me and the cats, the traffic was so utterly outlandish. In-town traffic. I ain't talking about highway traffic, which is always bad. I'm talking about in-town traffic. I'm talking about local traffic. Was so utterly, unbelievably unforgivable. It took me an hour and a half to drive home. Half a mile. It took me that's not an exaggeration. It took me an hour and a half to drive home. There was not a cop in sight nowhere for days and days and days and days. This city gives literally half its budget to the cops. I'm not saying figuratively. I told y'all, $86 million is generated in this city every day, 365 days a year. 365 days a year, this motherfucker is generating $86 million, and LAPD gets $1 for every $4 generated in this city. They don't even, the whole of LAPD don't even have 10,000 employees. And so for this department, that is the highest paid police department in this country, in the whole country. LAPD is the most well-funded pig department. I'm going to stop offending pigs like that. I'm going to stop calling cops pigs, because that's an offense to pigs. That's an offense to pigs. I digress. Their annual budget, especially since this negress got elected as the mayor, their budget has increased twice in her term. It was already a notoriously overbloated police department. But this negress, the first thing she did was increase the budget, and then just increase the budget again, and on the same day, decrease the budget to address homelessness. She did that. She did that. That was just 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. She did that. Not only that, she banned van living. So not only is she not allocating the appropriate money to resolve homelessness in this city, but to increase homelessness in this city for people who were, quote, living in their vans. She just banned van living up in this city right here, and her and the cops and the fire department, the joint forces, to go and force people out of their vans, take their vans and all their possessions to these strip yards where they strip the goddamn vans down. All the people got in their whole life, strip the vans down and put them. Don't worry, we have put them in we put them in hotel rooms until we can secure long-term housing for them. That's what's happening right now in this city. That damn fire, if you ask anybody, that fire was so revealing, not only of the bureaucracy that is LA city, like government, but also the hostility. To have a police department that receives now $3.8 billion a year, billion for 10,000 employees, $3.8 billion a year, $1 out of every $4 that the city generates. To have a police department that is the most well-funded police department in the country, and to go a week and not see a cop. As a matter of fact, you can go back and watch, what was his name? Steve Gutenberg, because he was trying to save people houses and shit. He stayed behind and he was like water hosing people houses. And he's like, where? He was on the video saying, where are the goddamn cops? Like, why we ain't seen these fires been going for that? Why we ain't seen no goddamn cops? He starts breaking into people's cars, people and just abandon their cars because they're driving and seeing the fire come towards their car. They car stuck in traffic. They can't turn their car around, can't do nothing. People getting out their car in masses, man, in the middle of the road. Just leaving their cars, but don't leave their cars unlocked. And so Steve Gutenberg is on this video talking about, yo, if you have to leave your car unlocked or try to park it more on the median. He said, there's cars parked as far as the eye can see, and all the damn car on the road, not in the median, on the road. So the fire department can't get through. And so me and other men in this community are having to bust the windows out of the car so we can push the cars off the road. So the fire department and the ambulances can come and help people. Why y'all just leaving y'all car? He was going off. Why y'all just leaving y'all cars in the middle of the goddamn road? Yo, that shit was the most insane shit I ever experienced, I ever witnessed. And then after the fires started to subside just a little, they weren't over. And people were looking for food. People were looking for clothes. There were people like the friend I told you that I was housing here for a little while. He and his baby lost everything because these goddamn the fire department, while conveniently saving all the white people houses that was just across the road, baby. When I say just across the road, I'm not exaggerating, and that's not figurative. Where you can literally today drive to Altadena, and this one road, lake, everything on this side of the lake where the Negroes was, where the Negro houses was, is still gone like a goddamn bomb. Just leveled every damn thing. And literally right across the street, no fire damage, no smoke damage, nothing. Fire department start telling everybody on the white side of the road, you feel me? 3 days before, my friend whose house burned to the ground, He was like, I'm looking at the app waiting for them to give us, the thing to evacuate, and they're not doing it. But right down the street, all of them are being told they need to evacuate. And he was like, I'm looking at this app all night, because I got my daughter here. And so we looking at the thing, and it's not telling us that we need to evacuate. But 3 days before they finally told us to evacuate, they had already told the whole white side of the city. I'm talking about over here, Eaton Canyon, not Eaton Canyon, Altadena. He was like, damn, why they ain't telling us? He's calling his friends that live in the area. He's like, have y'all heard about any evacuation? It was like, no, we ain't heard nothing. But the white side of town, that's literally, I need to go take video footage so y'all don't think I'm up in here tripping. That I'm up in here exaggerating about the literal lake. Was like literally the railroad tracks, and all the Negroes was on one side of the railroad track, and all the white people was on the other side of the railroad tracks, and everybody shit that was on the white side of the railroad tracks unscathed, untouched, unbothered, literally right across the street. Businesses burnt, black businesses that have been there for 30, 40, 50 years, leveled to the ground. As a matter of fact, one of the businesses was owned by Faye first bass player. He owned a business right there on Lake. When I say I'm not exaggerating, right there on Lake. He and his son had owned that business for forever. That built the whole building, and his business was inside like a little mini, strip thing where there was like 5 or 6 businesses in this one little strip thing. Burnt to the like there was never nothing there, like there was never brick and mortar there. And so when all these, and even the response, the emergency response in terms of people looking for some place to stay, and I'm talking about just the weeks of it, not even after the fire was over, while people were looking for stuff to eat and some place to stay and couch surfing and all of this shit while the fires are still going. It was like the presence of the city. It was like there was no government. And if it hadn't been for these thousands and thousands and thousands of nonprofits, of people with personal businesses, if it hadn't been for these nonprofits in this city, if it hadn't been for individual citizens with resources or money or on another side of town that was not impacted, regular everyday businesses, shutting their operating hours down to run their store as a place where people could deliver clothes and food, so people could come and single file lines and go into regular businesses to get for free the things that they needed to sustain themselves until we could get to the other side of these fires burning. But I'm telling you, and so for me, seeing how extraordinarily devastating these fires were on the one hand, and then recognizing, so like I told y'all, my car was hit while trying to leave the city. It was goddamn pandemonium. And because I only had liability, I could not even get my car fixed. My bumper still hanging on by a thread. And I mean, like, obvious. The whole right side of my car over my wheel. You understand? And then the bumper shifted. Somebody had to help me pry the door open. It was goddamn unbelievable pandemonium. And because there was no cops directing traffic, they weren't doing shit. They wasn't doing shit nowhere. Not nowhere. Not nowhere. Not nowhere. Not nowhere. Not in the rich people side of town, not in the poor people. They went, it was like they just was on fucking vacation or some shit. And so when after 3 days of like literally freaking out, I was like, okay, I got to go buy my babies, my cats, and myself something to eat. I'm going to go right down the street. I'm coming right back. And I go to try to get something to eat. And a car runs a stop sign and like hits me hard like that and crunches the whole front side of my car. And And the only reason that could happen, it wasn't like the stoplights wasn't working. Pete, it was just fucking chaos. It was just fucking chaos. I was like, you know what? The one day I leave my house during this bullshit and somebody gonna hit my car and keep going because like I got whatever, I got to get out of here. It was pandemonium. I get back home. I was like, all right, we ain't going nowhere. Nah, unless we see fire right outside, we ain't going nowhere. And I'm gonna tell you what happened. And it's just today, this week, like looking for help through like the city, through the city organizations. Just the last 2 weeks, I've just been perpetually reminded of how long-term impactful. So let me tell you what happened. I have a bad habit of doing this. It's not the first time this has happened. Because I was safe. Do you hear me? Because I was safe. Because I did not have the direct damage done to my life and to my house that I saw, that I knew personally. I told you my sitar teacher, he lost everything. Shit that was irreplaceable. You know what I'm saying? I knew too many people personally who lost everything. So in my mind, I did not have a right to seek help. Not that was just in the moment, like in the crisis of in the moment. I was like, okay, well, this is messed up and I can't work, but you know what? I can't work, but there are people out here who don't have nothing. They literally lost everything. They're literally, my friend Kevin, because he had his girlfriend come and pick him up. The fire department was like, you can leave and come back tomorrow morning. We just don't want y'all to suffer from the smoke inhalation. He leave his car in the goddamn driveway. All of his equipment, because he had a studio in his backyard. He turned his garage into a studio. Left everything because the freaking fire department said, leave everything. Y'all ain't got to worry about it. Get your dog. You know what I'm saying? You're going to be back tomorrow. And he decides to come back earlier than they say come back. And he gets there. He left at 3 o'clock in the morning, comes back at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and everything but his fireplace is like literally gone. Like somebody took acid and just poured it over it, like just disintegration and shit. Baby pictures, everything in his studio gone. His car, like a blob of metal in the goddamn driveway. So having this interaction with people who lost everything, I'm like, I don't have a right to ask for nothing. And this is my crisis thinking in this month that this is happening. And even after the shit starts to just kind of come down just a hair, I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to ask for no help. I'm not going because FEMA was saying, go ahead. If you have friends and family, go ahead and start yourself like a GoFundMe so you can get, urgent help until the city organizations can start developing what they're going to do to assist people or whatever. I didn't do a GoFundMe. I didn't get in the lines. I didn't get into a single line. I did not have food in my house, y'all. And I was like, you know what? But I didn't lose everything. And then I wasn't working. I didn't work for a month and a half, period. And then I would get an appointment here. And then 5 days later, I get another appointment there. I was like, but you know what? At least I'm still getting appointments. You know what I'm saying? At least I still have my apartment. You feel me? My car did get hit, but thank God it's still running. Even though it's clicking on that side, even though it started clicking on that side, because everything is rubbing together. That man mushed my whole car up in. You know what I'm saying? I was like, well, at least whatever. And so I didn't ask for any help. I didn't go into any lines for food or for clothes. I didn't do any of that stuff because I felt like I would be being an asshole to get a little bit of help because all these people, y'all cannot imagine. Yeah, I'm telling you, the media, because it's Hollywood, the media did such a disservice to covering the story. What y'all saw, as devastating as it was not close. What y'all saw was not close. It wasn't close. It wasn't close. And to see that woman, this old woman who fled Yugoslavia, then she said in the 1950s that she had 2 little babies when she fled Yugoslavia, and had another child when she got here, and raised her babies in the house that that was previously standing on the goddamn mud when they interviewed her yesterday, trying to be optimistic. So it was her daughter's 2 teenage children standing out there, and there was some wood. There wasn't even a foundation. It was like, we just got the go ahead to, have our house start to be rebuilt, but we still don't know, when it's going to be finished. But her children are teenagers. That shit fucked me up so bad yesterday. I said, I'm not watching another interview. This woman, her daughter and her 2 grandchildren were standing out there trying to be so optimistic. And when that boy child, when the interviewer asked him, what grade are you in? He said, I'm a senior this year. And the girl said, I'm a sophomore this year. And their school burnt to the ground. This school was over 120 years old. Their school, it was unredeemable. And so the reporter asked, well, where are y'all going to school? Because the kid was like, yeah, I'm set to graduate this year. And he said, where are y'all going to school? And do you know what this baby said? Because it's so easy for us to just forget how long catastrophe lasts. This baby said that so our time in school was not messed up and we could graduate on time, the city and the local government invested some money to set up like classroom style, like kind of cubicles in the local Sears department store. Do you know that this baby has been going to fucking high school as a senior in Sears department store? That shit fucked me up so bad yesterday. And I have been distressed because today, a year later, without having been directly impacted by these fires this week, I was just like, I am fucking done with this shit, y'all. I'm on the brink. I'm about to pack my shit up and go back. I'm about to go home to my mama. Fuck this bullshit. Fuck all this bullshit. This is bullshit. This is bullshit for a goddamn fucking bullshit ass city that generates 86 billion motherfucking dollars a day, and y'all cannot do shit. Do you know that this reporter was talking to these babies who to this day, a year later, are going to school in a motherfucking Sears department store that was abandoned? That shit was devastating. And these babies trying to be, upbeat that at least we didn't miss so much school that we won't be on time to graduate. I was like, what the fuck? And that's just one community. That is just the rich people community. This family was a family that lived in Pacific Palisades. And I don't care. I talked a lot of shit about our complications, our race relations in this country, but y'all hear me say just as much about trying to be as optimistic as I can be, that I am still convinced that there is hope for white folks. Maybe not all of them, but I do not. That's not how I teach. That's not how I communicate in the world. Yes, we have serious contradictions, but there are some among them who have hearts, who have, even if they don't, as a matter of fact, because we know what has happened to the world that makes them behave the way that they do. But baby, watching these 2 babies, and the other thing that, because I was up in here sobbing, I watched one video about the anniversary of this shit. I was like, I can't do this today. I got miracles to make. I cannot do this shit today. Turn off the TV because it's gonna be this all day. And baby, I was up in here sobbing. I was like, oh my God. The disservice, the fucking quagmire that Donald Trump has created, that people have not even had time to process the grief and the shock from the fires to get their lives in some kind of rhythmical or Kevin is still homeless, technically. He's still living in an Airbnb. That ain't his. That ain't his. A year later, and he was one of the fortunate ones that had insurance on the house. They got the pure approval for his house to be rebuilt, and they ain't even broke ground on his shit. The city had to wage a war with what you call it, the Department of like engineering or some shit, where they have to come in and do all this testing of the soil after a fire to make sure it's not toxic. The city was like, that's the only thing the city did. It was like, can y'all motherfuckers hurry up and test this soil so people can start building their houses back? Like, what y'all dragging y'all feet for? He was one of the fortunate ones who had the kind of insurance that was like right away, yes, we're gonna rebuild your house, this and that, and this and that, and we'll take care of everything. We'll get all the permits, and we'll take care of all that. You ain't got to worry about that. But goddamn, it's a year later and they ain't even broke soil. These are the people that were fortunate enough to have, insurance and not to mention the fact that nobody is talking anymore about the fact that several major insurance companies in this city, that's why everybody got on conspiracy theories. Several major insurance companies throughout the entire area, the Los Angeles proper and greater Los Angeles, weeks before the fire, started canceling people's policies. That's why the conspiracy theories. They were saying there were thousands of people whose insurance coverage plans were canceled by the companies mere weeks before the fires. Mere weeks. Thousands before the fire. And you have me tell it it's not a conspiracy. This monstrous city government is planning to host the 2028 Olympics. And for the last 3 months, I've been crack watching documentary after because there ain't no shortage of them. Documentary after documentary after documentary after documentary. There's so many of them. Of the devastating impact that the Olympics has on cities. I know I watched 10 documentaries on the fucking Olympics in the last 3 months. I'm not exaggerating. I watched one YouTube video that was about 2 hours long. It wasn't a documentary, but it was like, top 15 cities whose economies never recovered after hosting the Olympics. Top 15 cities on the planet whose economies never recovered after the Olympics. But on the front side of hosting the Olympics, how everybody gets successfully gentrified, disappeared, imprisoned, sweeps through these neighborhoods. They trying to clear the hell out the way so they can buy the houses pennies on the dollar to host people who gonna come here for a couple of weeks for the goddamn. Do you know there was an article in the LA Times about a month ago talking about in preparation today? It wasn't even 2026 yet. In preparation for the Olympics, foreign individuals have already paid private individuals up to $300,000 to secure their housing for the Olympics in 2028. That was in the LA Times. $300,000. People are saying, can I rent your house for a week? So when I come to that, people were in line. The fires had not even stopped yet. People were in line getting food, getting supplies, getting clothes. Lines. The lines, y'all. The lines. It's like the type of shit you see when you go to like undeveloped countries in Africa and they start giving away some bullshit ass Monsanto rice and some dirty ass water and calling that shit like charity, and there'll be lines and lines and lines as far as to the goddamn horizon of babies and women. That's what that shit looked like here. I'm not exaggerating. The shit was fucking devastating. And for months, the despair in this city was palpable in your body. Everybody was saying this. When I tell you that the grief and the despair in this city was fucking palpable, thick in the air, like you could cut it with a knife, chop it with an axe, and didn't even give the people fucking 3 months to recover before this motherfucker started waging war on the devastated with these ICE raids. Waging war on the devastated. This typical shock and awe strategy of the military to just like barrage people, just barrage them, and don't give them enough time to recover, but give them enough time to think they're in the clear before you create another catastrophe. Stereotypical textbook shock and awe, like he promised. Meanwhile, especially once ICE came in here, it created an environment there, baby. I feel like ICE did more emotional damage than the fires did. Because the fires, what you saw, as a matter of fact, I am certain that ICE did more damage than the fires did. Because even though the fires were devastating, what happened in the fires was the weakness of bureaucracy got exposed. That's what happened. They were like, damn, this shit didn't work like we thought it was going to work. Because that's all everybody kept talking about. Everybody from every area and every local city government was like, the city ain't shit. The government ain't shit. What the fuck we need these motherfuckers for if in a catastrophe, after we done paid them personally thousands of dollars of taxes, and then we actually have a crisis where we actually need these bum ass bastards and crickets. I don't know if y'all remember, but it took this Negro mayor, it took her 4 days before she even made a press statement. People was like, where this bitch at? Why she ain't saying nothing? Why she ain't telling us what to do and where we need to go? Days before her first addressing of the crisis, of the catastrophe. Everybody was saying the same thing, that if it had not been for our local community, if it had not been for these stores taking up the gauntlet, if it had not been for these churches and these other nonprofit organizations, this shit would have been a catastrophe light years worse than it is. Nowhere to be found. That goddamn Taj Mahal of a city hall that looked like a goddamn mausoleum. Why the doors on that bitch wasn't flung? It's enormous. That city hall is crazy, insane. It literally is like a Taj Mahal. I just took video footage yesterday that I'm gonna put up on here so y'all can see what I'm talking about. I went to City Hall yesterday because they supposedly had emergency resources to prevent people from getting kicked out their shit, and they was like, "We ain't got no money." That's what they said. We ain't got no money. That's what they said to me. We ain't got no money. I was like, well, damn, where's the mayor's emergency fund? We ain't got no money. But we can send you over here and here. We ain't got no money. I said, what the fuck, yo? Meanwhile, this building is so crazy. I asked the cop, I was like, yo, what was this building before it was City Hall? He's like, what you mean? I said, it wasn't like a cathedral or something. I'm telling you like that. I'm telling you, these intricate paintings on these archway ceilings, and they be talking about the Tartarians and how these ceilings be so goddamn high. It had to have been painted by goddamn giants and shit. I'm sitting here looking up. I said, this is fucking unbelievable. People did this. I said, this wasn't no church first. He's like, no, this wasn't no church. I said, it wasn't like a cathedral or some shit. He was like, no. I said, well, what was it? He said, girl, this building was built to be City Hall. I said, you lying. I said, they ain't put this kind of work into no motherfucking place for it to be an administrative building. He said, in 1922, this building was built specifically to function as City Hall. When y'all see the video I'm going to post up on this joint, y'all going to be, you motherfucking lying. That's what y'all going to say. I can already hear y'all through the screen. Y'all going to say, you is motherfucking lying. There ain't no way this building was built as an administrative office. 29 floors. 29. with this and the top looked like a literal steeple. And it's got windows all around it. And you can take a little tour all the way up to the 29th floor, because in the steeple, instead of there being a bell, you feel me? You can literally walk around this like center pole thing and literally see the entire city just walking around the top of the steeple. The decoration, the art deco elevators that are lined in copper and emerald. Yeah, I said, you motherfucking lying. This bitch wasn't built to be no goddamn administrator. Y'all was holding rituals or something up in this bitch. Every floor, immaculate. Paintings. Do you know what the ceiling had? I know I see them all over the place, but this week has been... It's been... And when I say this week, what's today? Tuesday? So every day since last Monday, this shit been crazy. And so I go into City Hall because they're like, oh, and let me tell y'all another thing. Y'all gonna laugh. Let me tell you what happened to me in City Hall. As a matter of fact, I ain't gonna pull the paper out. But let me tell y'all what happened in City Hall before they told me we ain't got no money. So you walk up to City Hall to the mayor's office, right? Or to the mayor's area, because she got a whole area, right? That you got to check in, and then you can go to the area, and then all the way down is her office. But she controls the whole thing. And so the dude, the little old dude, it's a little old dude, like white hair old. The little old dude is talking to me about, you know, some of the programs that they have available, this and that, right? And so he was like, well, go ahead and fill out this little paperwork. And then I'm gonna input your paperwork right now so we can get this thing on the go for you, right? He is very optimistic, this little old man, a sweetheart. You know what I'm saying? So he's typing in a paperwork. He was like, I think this is gonna work for you. I really do, because the mayor, they have money. They have money just for something like this. I was like, all right, cool. I was like, cool. I said, you know what, sir? What's your name? Y'all. And I've been so busy and so like distracted and overcome, because as soon as he told me what his name was, I was like, I am going straight home to do a live. They ain't gonna believe this shit. I'm going home. I'm not going nowhere else. I'm going straight home to do a live so I can tell these people what this old man who was trying to help me told me his name was. And then of course I get distracted because he tell me you need to go here, and here while you wait for a response from the mayor's office. But go today. Don't wait till tomorrow. I know it's late in the day, but just go today. That way they can see your face and that will give you priority. I was like, all right. So as soon as I left there, after I said in my mind, as soon as he told me what his name was, I was gonna go straight home. I ended up running around till like 7:00. This was today's Wednesday, right? Today's Wednesday. So this was Monday. Baby. This little cute, just effeminate enough for you to know, right? Old, pure white, no salt and pepper, pure white, gray hair, sweetheart. I said, sir, tell me your name. This old man told me my name is Saturn. I said, excuse me? He said, dear, my name is Saturn. I said, what the fuck? That old man told me my name is Saturn Chavez. You know, I said, you motherfucking play. This. See, it's that type of shit that be so in your face. I'm like, surely this is the police. That they be listening to my conversations. They know I see signs everywhere. And so they tell this old man, this bitch gonna come tomorrow and try to get some money from y'all. Tell her your name is Saturn so she'll think this shit is a sign. It be like that sharp. This dude's name was Saturn. What did I spend 6 hours talking to y'all about just the night before? Till 2:00 in the morning, actually mad because I was like, damn, I knew I shouldn't have did this. I gotta be up early so I can do this. After talking to y'all for 6 hours about Saturn, I said, y'all got, look, if you gonna, this is what, see, me and the mother been up in here arguing. We've been up in here scrapping. So I know I'll be talking all lovely and sweet about the mother, but right now the mama is playing games with my motherfucking life, playing games with my money, trying to show me signs here and there and to and fro and shit, promising. Because what do we say? Saturn, as great grandmother Crone, did not promise scarcity, did not teach you about strict discipline where money is concerned and all of that shit. So I'm like, can we just go ahead and have what you promised? Okay, we clear now what we looking at when these people be playing with your archetype and your story in every week. So, okay, I'm clear now that my struggle with my money and my aversion to discipline and all of this shit has been because I didn't understand that nothing was wrong with me, that this thing that we call this thing has been hijacking your image and flipping it and twisting it and all of that shit. Okay, I'm clear now. So can we go ahead and have the golden age? Can we go ahead and have that version of the great grandmother Crone that promised us what? A life of leisure. That's what they said the golden age was a life of leisure where human beings did not have to toil for food or to a place to live or for clothing. Isn't that what Socrates himself said about the last golden age? That people live to be a long age, an old age where they died peacefully in their sleep. In the last go, I was like, okay, Ma, I hear you. That's what I'm teaching. As soon as you put me on game, I ain't even holding it hostage. As soon as you give it to me, I'm giving it back. I'm giving it up. I'm giving it to the people. Giving it. Now, can we go ahead and make this shit pop? I do not need to be down here begging motherfuckers for the penance that they're going to give you anyway, supposedly to help you prevent being homeless while they done cut the homelessness budget. What is the incentive they got to help me? And that's why when I tell you I done ran through 12 different organizations in 3 days. 12. On the phone, hours and hours and hours to have all these different organizations tell me exactly the same thing. We can't really help you, but let us give you some referrals. And guess what? The referrals are always the same organizations. I was like, Ma, I ain't trying to be prideful out this bitch, but like, I have had enough. I've had enough. I've had enough. So what is this sign that you're trying to give me with this cute little old man named Saturn, who was a sweetheart, by the way? When I'm filling out the application, he was like, baby, he took my hand. Like, I'm with one hand, I got my other hand, and he put his hand on me with all his little pretty rings. You feel me? He was like, sweetheart. He said, take a deep breath. He said, it's going to be okay. Everything is going to work out in your favor. I said, thank you. I accept that. Everything is going to work out in your favor. We're going to get this. We're going to make this happen for you. I believe that. He said, not only that, I want you to come back to me and make sure you come back and tell me how everything worked out way better than you expected. I said, you know what? That is a commitment I'm going to make to you, Mr. Saturn Chavez. He was a sweetheart. It was the only thing redeemable about Monday. You understand? I said, this is cute, Ma. And then I look up for the first time in City Hall. And up above in this giant, massive cathedral style, like archway before you get to his deck, it's incredible. I'm like, what the fuck did they do that for? It is the zodiacal chart. It is the zodiacal charts all the way around this big giant like archway thing where the 4 arches meet. This giant, beautiful golden, like glittery, metallic-y, golden zodiacal chart with all the little animals and shit, you feel me? And then around the perimeter of the zodiacal chart, it says to the masters of education, the world rests comfortably in your hands. I said, ain't this about a bitch? The future of the world rests comfortably in your hands. To the masters of education, the future of the world rests comfortably in your hands. Around a goddamn gold zodiacal chart in the middle of the city, in the middle of the building, built. Yeah, that ain't the only thing that was on the ceiling. Dragons and centaurs. And I said, what do you want with me? Either make this shit easy or tell me in plain English, pack up your shit and take your ass back to fucking Alabama. Because this shit is too much. This shit is too motherfucking much. I don't want to see signs if it is not going to swing fucking power back in our favor. I'm tired of seeing signs. I'm tired of epiphonetic breakthroughs. I came home Monday night after this thing with Mr. Saturn, Chavez. And I told y'all last week, I am stressed out. My blood feels like I'm pumping battery acid through my veins. I have slept 6 hours in 5 days. That's not an exaggeration, because that's what I came up on here to tell y'all. I wrote a book this weekend. I wrote a book, like an actual, instead of taking notes like I always do because I love to write, got right up on this computer, like an insane person, like a crazy, like you see the movies about writers and they got a cigarette like hanging out their mouth like this. Like the writers that be real crazy, like, oh, they having an epiphany, they having a breakthrough, so they can't stop while they got their muse. And oh my God. Oh, yeah. That was me this weekend. Not this weekend. Let me just tell y'all aren't going to believe me, but this is what I came up on here to tell y'all tonight. This thing with the fires and the remembrances and all of this shit, and I think it's really fucked up because this city didn't give a damn about anybody in this city during the fires. And I had to tell y'all the intricacies of it because this week in particular, but I launched this GoFundMe in November. I have always been ever present and clear about how devastating the reverberating, the continuous reverberating effect on people with the fires, and how there is a population that nobody has talked about this ripple effect of the impact of the fires on more than 250,000 people. Do you know what this reporter said today while he was talking to this woman and her daughter and her 2 teenage kids who are going to school for a year in a goddamn Sears department store? Do you know what this reporter then went to say? This looks like progress. Talking about the little houses that have like little frames where they starting to finally erect a frame across the street from the lady. She's like, this ours right here. All you see is mud and maybe a little wood, but they ain't even did ours. But you span around, you see a few, he said 5 houses that look like they trying to be built. They actually trying to be built. He said, and it looks like progress. He said, but according to the statistics that I just read today, there are actively between Pacific Palisades and Altadena, 500 houses being rebuilt. 500. He said, that sounds like a lot, don't it? He said 15,000 homes burnt to the ground. 15,000 houses burnt to the ground, displacing estimates of as low as 150,000 and estimates as high as 250,000 people displaced by the 15,000 houses burnt to the ground, and they ain't started to rebuild but 500. A goddamn year later, 500 houses being worked on. I drove to Pacific Palisades over the weekend for the first time since the fires. I had driven to Altadena a couple of times to see that madness. And I drove through Pacific Palisades the other day, and I'm telling you, it didn't even occur to me. I'm driving through the back road to get to the beach because the traffic going to the beach was crazy. I said, I'm gonna just go the back way. Not thinking about the fact that I had not driven the back way since before the fires. So I get to a certain point where you're entering Pacific Palisades. I'm like, what the fuck is all that shit on the damn road? I'm like, a year. This was just this past weekend. A year later, I'm swerving the fuck all over the road to avoid tree stumps, giant pieces of wood, bridges that's dangling. A year later, I said, what is, because it didn't occur to me until I got about 2 miles into that shit and started seeing burnt houses. I said, oh my fucking God. I have not been down this way to go to the beach in over a year. I'm all over the road. I'm not exaggerating. There's still cones in the middle of the road. There's all kind of like them big A-frame, red, white and orange things, so that you don't fall in a goddamn pit where the goddamn road, where the gravel of the road then just broke off and fell into a ditch a year later. And this the rich people side of town. This was just Saturday. I said, oh my God. I drove through Pacific Palisades. I said, this shit is unfucking believable. There are still burnt businesses. They ain't even moved the burnt shit out the way. They ain't even moved burnt pieces out the way. A year later, y'all. It was like every single business and home in Pacific Palisades was gone. I said, And people stop talking about the fires 3 weeks after they put the fires out. I said, It was, this week has been a mess. And I couldn't figure out why because I've been in stressful situations before, but this was different. My breathing was different. My blood, I was like, I can't get sick in here. I do not have it in me. I was up in here really thinking a lot of worst case scenario type of shit. I'm not going to front. My mood is much better today, though it didn't start out that way. I have literally been sitting up in this chair up until 7 o'clock when I went to go grab me something to eat and sit here and wolf a little bit of it down before I got up on here. All day long and no results. However, I'll let this be the segue. However, my attitude turned around after business hours were over, and I knew nobody else was going to be calling me just to tell me they can't help me. People were calling me because I was like, I ain't calling nobody today. I'm going to sit up on this internet, see what kind of money moves I can make on this internet. I'm not going to a bunch of places today for all of them to tell me the same thing about how they can't help me. You feel me? We got money. There are a lot of organizations, by the way, that said we do have money. But the thing is because this is your balance, and we only give money to people who only have this amount to pay, and anything over this, we can't really give you that money. Even though we have the money, we can't give you the money. Even though you qualify for the money, we can't give you the money. That's happened 3 times where like 3 different organizations who all had the same amount, $2,500 to $2,800 for quote emergency rent intervention type of shit, right? And I mean all the qualifications. I am still employed. I can still show proof of employment. Is just slowed to a crawl. You feel me? So I got books. You feel me? And I meet all the qualifications. You know what I'm saying? I don't make so much money that I miss it. For them all to tell me, well, I said, you know what? I said, this ain't going to be the place that I get it from. And so that's the segue. I want to take some time. I made up my mind that before I tell y'all what I was on, I want to take some, and this ain't everybody. So if I don't call your name, please don't get an attitude with me. I only had time when I decided I was going to do a live to do 1 page and 1 process. So I still have more to do. I'll do between tomorrow and like Friday before we do the Matrix workshop. So this is just 1 page. And this is over the last 3 months, this 1 page, because I haven't done it in a while. And so I wanted to take the time to do this today because that's what changed my whole mood. That's what this that I decided to do today changed my whole disposition, because it affirmed in me watching what happened in this city during these fires affirmed in me that we do not need the government. We don't. We do not need the bureaucracy that the government deliberately creates to attempt to justify how they continue to rob you, how they continue to pay everybody up in these government positions that don't do no work, minimum $150,000 to $358 annual salaries. You feel me? They have to create the illusion of this hard work that we have to do to make the city run smoothly. You feel me? Even though the city is in chaos. Yes, it is. We have to create the illusion that you lowly people just do not understand the process. See, it looked like bureaucracy to you, but there's actually a lot of thought and deliberation in moving gears, you feel me, that you lowly people just could not possibly understand. Then I go to this Taj Mahal of a building called City Hall. And there's only one. City Hall in the city of Los Angeles is just a metaphor for city halls. City Hall, Los Angeles, has 5 buildings. 5. There's City Hall 1, City Hall 2, City Hall 3, City Hall 4, and City Hall 5. City Hall has 5 buildings, each and every one of them like a goddamn multi-billion-dollar Taj Mahal. Yep. And every time you go to any one, you would think that they ain't got but 5 employees. I said, this shit is correct. Let me tell you what else happened. Let me tell you what else happened. Let me tell you what Saturn had told me. Saturn had told me. I forgot about this. Saturn, the old man that was helping me, Saturn had told me, he was like, I said, well, how was your holiday, Saturn? He said, it was okay. I said, why you say it like that? He said, girl, because did you hear about what happened down here? I said, no, what happened down here? He said, City Hall, some people broke into City Hall on New Year's Eve. I said, what? How they broke into City Hall? City Hall got broken into and robbed on New Year's Eve. Mind you, there are 7 cops, not guards, cops, LAPD, working at the entrances of City Hall, fully armed with protective glass, bulletproof barriers and the little like you at the airport. You feel me? You got to put your stuff down this little conveyor belt. You have to walk through the thing that scans you. Then they have to bar scan you if you make it go off. 7 cops at every entrance. And City Hall did. First of all, the city halls are literally, there's one, the big giant main one that I was in, then the one literally directly across the street. It's literally joined by overpass, bridge, walking thing, walkway, skyway walkway thing. Okay? All of them the same way. And City Hall got bum rushed and broke the fuck into on December 31st. I said, what? He said, yeah, girl, can you believe that? I said, hell no, I can't believe that. How that happened? With armed cops, 7 armed cops at the doorway. How that happened? How they did that? I said, who they is? Y'all remember I was telling y'all the other day I was watching TikTok and I wasn't even paying attention. I was just letting each TikTok play. And I stopped on one and it was a kid. He was like 19, 20 years old. And as soon as I stopped on it, he said, why don't nobody rob banks no more? That was the first thing he said. I said, oh shit. I was like, oh shit. These young people out here frustrated. As soon as I stopped on it, he was like, why don't nobody rob banks no more? Can we rob a bank? I said, yo, okay. And I heard this story that Saturn told me on Monday, child. He said, yeah, well, it was all right. It was crazy coming back. I said, why? He said, girl, because City Hall got broke into. City Hall got robbed. I said, you lying. He said, girl, City Hall got busted into. I came back. My desk was messed up. Stuff was broken on, like drawers on my desk. I said, He said, So today, when I was writing down this list, It made me think about what Saturn said and what I said, and everybody in the city was saying a year ago today, was that the city ain't shit. And what it did was expose itself. What it did was exposed the illusion that civilized, decent, heartfelt human beings cannot care for themselves without the bureaucracy of fucking city government, of state government, of national government. That's my personal position. Do we need the motherfucking CIA? Do we need the FBI? Do we need the ATF? Do we need any of these alphabet boys? Do we need punitive systems of correction? No. You know why I say no? Because hell, what was it? This big old sting where 3 judges that have been judges for decades are the first of their kind to get sent to serious prison time because they were deliberately trying, first of all, getting arrested, these babies, getting arrested on false charges, go before the judge send these babies to adult prisons. And if it was like menial crimes, send them only to privatized juvenile detention facilities. And people was trying to figure out why they send them to these privatized juvenile detention centers. And every single one of the juvenile detention centers, these motherfuckers had stocks in and was getting personal kickbacks for every child they sent to these privatized juvenile detention facilities. Several of these babies committed suicide. And between the 3 of them, I think the lowest amount of time was like 15 years. Like they made millions of dollars over the decades, deliberately criminalizing babies to get kickbacks. So do we need prisons? For real though? Do we need judges? For real though? The way they look right now. For real though? I just saw this girl the other day talking about, I've talked to y'all about it before, but she was talking about how it was a different angle that she was approaching it. She homeschools her kids. And even as a homeschooler, you're still, in most places where you can homeschool, you're still required for your child to be tested to make sure they're at grade level. So you have to take, quote, supposedly, these standardized tests to make sure. So a representative from the state will come and test your child to make sure your child is at grade level, even if you're homeschooling. We had it done when I was homeschooling my daughter. And so she was like, as a homeschooler, I had always felt some kind of way because I knew I'd heard pretty regularly about the racist bias in standardized testing and how it literally really is, really terrible for Black and other kids to be taking these tests. And they're culturally specific only to white experiences, all of this shit, right? She said, but I just learned something today. She said, first of all, it is not mandatory for your child to be taking these standardized tests. She said, the only reason I know that is because I thought they were necessary. And she said, it wasn't until I started hearing white homeschoolers talk about, oh no, it's not mandatory, but they try to force you to do it. They try to scare you into making your babies take these standardized tests. She said, it wasn't until I heard all these white women in homeschool spaces talking about, oh no, I don't make my baby take that shit. No standardized tests for my baby. And so she was like, if the white women don't want their babies to take the standardized test, there must be something seriously up with it. So let me do some more research. You know what she found out? Because I told you this from a medical perspective of a study that I read when I was in college. But her angle was more interesting than mine. That the original stated purpose of the standardized test was to predict by the 3rd grade the probability of the school population that will end up in prison. By the 3rd grade, and you've heard this before from different angles. From my angle, it was in medical school. It was why they radically changed the nature of food in public school. They say that if you're an inmate in a prison, you get better meals than kids do that are in public school. And why radically the food changed in around the mid to late 1990s. Was because there were studies that have been conducted for 20 years about certain nutritional deficiencies that would guarantee a decline in cognition. And so they started removing the food from the school food lunch program that were high in omega-3s, took them out. That were high in basic nutritional value, took those out. Good fatty acids, and what was the other thing? Whatever. And that they could just removing omega-3 essential fatty acids from the diet of a child. This one study that I read, removing just omega-3 essential fatty acids has such a damaging impact on cognition that this study that was done in 1972 could predict with almost certainty what the prison population was going to be for those children who are regularly robbed of omega-3 essential fatty acids. And she was saying that in her deep dive on this thing, that that's when you started to see this whole thing about the privatization of prisons, was when the prisons could see through these studies, standardized testing, the removal of omega-3 essential fatty acids can create criminals. And they could see it by the third grade. They could calculate with precision what the prison population was going to be in a decade and a half. By the time these kids are supposed to graduate high school, they could predict with absolute certainty how many of them would fill their prisons. This becomes the scientific and mathematical basis for this to be, quote, a good investment. And this is when politically you start seeing the lobbying for the privatization of prisons, so that it becomes a healthy and guaranteed investment for private citizens investing in the motherfucking prison system. Fuck this system. Fuck this system. All the way up and down, in and out, to and fro. This week, watching the mayor wanting to just talk about how resilient the citizens of LA have been since the fires, like we don't remember that we could not find a single politician know the hell where for almost a week. No word. It was like we ain't had no government. Police wasn't nowhere. The fire people was at least trying. The police wasn't nowhere. Even white people was like, where the damn police? They supposed to come in our neighborhood, regular like that. But damn, where the police at? Baby, I listen. It is so timely that this shit happened, that I am in this situation where I got to come face to face with the state 5 days in a row. Hell, longer than that, because I've been looking for assistance since November. But sharply the last 3 weeks. Now I got to come face to face with every single personification of the state. Every single way that the state shows its face, I'm having to come into contact with them, You feel me? And it happens to this week to coincide with the 1 year anniversary of this cataclysmic event that happened in the city, and that people are still suffering from. You know what I'm saying? Kid, like my homeboy's daughter, who is always this bubbly, outgoing 13-year-old cutie patootie. We would go camping every year for our birthdays, because my birthday was first, her birthday was a week after mine, and his birthday was a week after hers. And so every year, before he got booed up, every year, me and him and his kids, because all our birthdays was back to back to back to back to back, we would go on some kind of camping trip for 2 or 3 days. His daughter is just an upbeat, outgoing, bubbly, wonderful cutie patootie who can play piano, and she sings and all of this stuff. I've never seen her. I've never seen her like I have seen her since these fires. Never. Just nothing. Barely speak. Hey, baby. Hey. For a year. So, fuck the state. I'll say that. Fuck the state. We can do this shit ourselves. Fuck relying on the state. Fuck hoping that the state gonna do the right thing. We can do this ourselves. I'm more convinced of it this week. When Saturn told me, baby, listen, these men wrote bum rush the center of government in LA with a police department that's got a $3.8 billion budget. Shouldn't the motherfucker be able to commit a single crime without some cop seeing it up in this city? What? So in this here, I'm so glad I took this is only one paper. I still have other names to collect. This is just one paper that I could scribble out before I got up on here, but that's my commitment for the next 3 days is to shout you all out. This paper today, because I was up in here tripping today. Ooh, I was up in here tripping today. Every time the phone rang, I was like, I don't want to hear from nobody that don't got no motherfucking money for me. If they don't have no help and they don't have no money, I don't want to hear them. Hello? Yes. But as I'm walking to the phone, I'm cussing out loud. I don't want nobody to call me who ain't got no motherfucking money for me. God damn it. I was up in here tripping today. Okay? Tripping. And then after business hours stopped and I knew nobody else was going to be calling my phone, I felt like I could take a breath because every single phone call was just like re-triggering me. I'm like, look, man. You know what I'm saying? And then I was like, well, now let me get my mind right because I'm going to do this live tonight because I wanted to do a live last night, but I was up in front of this computer until 2 o'clock in the morning. When I tell y'all I'm not sleeping, I was up in this bitch till 2 o'clock in the morning trying to figure out, multitasking. Okay, I got this to do. Okay, let me spend just a few minutes on this, then a few minutes on this, and make sure I make this thing happen over here. It's crazy, all right? So let me tell you, I got up on here. I was like, I'm going to do this live. I really ain't in the mood, but I can't go too many more days without doing no live. You feel me? Let me go ahead and write some of these names down, shout people out, and then I'll talk to them about what I want to talk about. And this list just felt like redemption. It really, it felt like, okay, bitch, you are tripping. You tripping. Take a deep breath because you is tripping. The list I'm about to read you goes all the way back to October because I have been promising, but I got so much on my plate. I've been promising that I was going to try to make at least a weekly effort to shout out people that have donated to the temple, that have helped me, that are allowing me at least a little wiggle room until I can steady what it is going to be a full-time employee of the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence and to hire other people who are going to be full-time employees of the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence. This is the place where we at right now, right? And this list really felt like redemption. This list also today had me come to a position like, absolutely yes, fuck the state. Yep, 1,000%. Not only 1,000%, yep, fuck the state. But yes, this little campaign that I'm about to wage, I think there's 12 other candidates. This campaign to become the mayor of Los Angeles that I'm about to wage. You can go online. You can see I'm in the candidate list. It's official. Like I can't walk back from it. You feel me? My name is already out there. You feel me? But that this campaign is going to have the potential to be the prototype for what it means for me to say, fuck the state. We can do this shit ourselves. Because how much worse can it be? How much worse can it be? Y'all supposed to be doing all the things that makes this a glistening metropolis, this metropolis that shows the world how people and their governmental institutions can work together to make a peaceful and harmonious city. And this is filthy. LA City is dirtier today than it was 8 years ago when I moved here. When I say dirty, I mean filthy. I was like, this don't make no sense. And it doesn't matter where you go. It used to be that you could go to like Rodeo Drive or something like that, and it would be all pristine because that's where the ultra wealthy. Not today. This city is filthy. So what are y'all doing with $86 million a day generated by the majority of people who are working class and poor in this city? What y'all doing with these $86 million a day? What y'all doing with this $86 million a day, bitch? Because y'all ain't doing nothing in the city. The traffic is unfreaking believable. I told y'all, don't get me started on the traffic. Do not get me started on the traffic. Why there ain't no turn lights? You know how you got your street lights, you feel me? And then you got a turn light so that everybody who want to turn can go before the straightaway traffic goes. Why there ain't no turn signals in the city? You think I'm lying? There are no turn signals in this city. Even on major intersections, I was like, this had to be deliberate. This had to be on purpose. This had to be on purpose. At this stage, all the roads, do you know that the city has a specific fund? I didn't know this. The city has a specific fund. Of course, it ain't well known about because it would be emptied overnight. But the city has a very specific fund that if your car is damaged, and all you have to do is show minimal proof. If your car is damaged from the roads, like a pothole or these big weird, like where they just laid tar over years to just like fix little patches of weird shit, and so the tar piled up like this, that if your car is damaged by the bad roads in this city, that you can get your if you have to pay money out of pocket to get your car repaired, the city will reimburse you your money. That's how bad the roads are. That the city got a whole little budget to pay people whose cars are damaged by the badness of the roads that they refuse to fix, though they generate $86 million a day up in this city. The roads are so bad. So bad. If you got brand new brakes, bitch, they ain't gonna be good but about 6 months. I'm not lying. They ain't gonna be good but for about 6 months before you having to go and get your pads replaced or something. These roads are bad. It's like the kind of roads you would be better off getting a horse and a buggy. I was like, it don't make no sense why these roads so bad. You feel me? So I'm convinced. And what COVID did, whether it was planned or not, and I ain't got no problem saying COVID. Not COVID. When the fires happened, I ain't got no problem saying that it was planned. I don't have no hesitation, no reservation, saying it was planned. But it still had an impact that they did not bank on. The impact that it had was to completely expose the illusion of the bureaucracy that exists as LA City government. That it is not functional at all. It has no usefulness. The only thing I would keep from the government are like administrators, people who do paperwork, people who keep those kind of things in order so that you can know just how to get to them and this kind. But everything else, city council, city hall, the mayor, the police chief, you don't need none of that shit. You don't need none of that shit. It exposed a level of bureaucracy and the illusion of a necessity for government, because when those first 4 days, the fires happened, you couldn't find a cop nowhere. You couldn't find Karen Bass ass nowhere. But everybody immediately stepped up. Private citizens, nonprofits, everybody stepped up. All these musicians in this city, there ain't a musician I know who within a month of the fires didn't get all of their gear replaced and in better quality. All their gear that burnt to the ground and shit like that. New hard drives, new Mac computers, new instruments, 5 times better than the instrument that they had, all donated. There is not a person that I know, and I know a lot of musicians, a lot of artists in this city, because that's what it is. And the presumption is you need your equipment, you need your gear to make your money because you're an artist in this city. This is a full-time job to be an artist, to be a musician out here. And within a month, as a matter of fact, one of my friends, he had great gear or whatever, but he was like, can you believe this? He has gotten so far about $75,000 worth of replacement gear. $75,000. One organization alone gave him $11,000 worth of gear. One organization alone. So this city, and all private businesses, all private organizations, all private citizens, they set up a little like a little, you know how you got these like community bulletins, like, you know, Facebook marketplace type of thing, like community bulletins on like different social media. They started setting up community bulletins instantly. As soon individual citizens started setting up bulletins all over the city saying, look, I know that a lot of musicians were impacted. I've got a couple of guitars that I can give away. Anybody else want to do that? I encourage y'all to do it here so that the musicians can know exactly where they need to go without all the bureaucracy of proving what they had and filling out paperwork with organizations. If you got something that you can give, if you got some drums, you know you ain't going to use again, whatever. And these were individual private citizens saying, I got a piano I know I'm not going to use. Let me go ahead and get somebody that piano. Let me go ahead and get somebody that guitar. You heard? That was the only thing that kept people from falling into absolute unredeemable despair, was how this city came out and showed up. Did that. Without no direction from the city, without no intervention from the city. People were just like, we can't find the cops nowhere. We can't find the city nowhere. Let's get up out here and solve this problem. And they did that. They did that shit. It was really something to behold how regular, everyday people shined the light on the failure of government in the city. That's what they did. By moving from heart. That's all they did. They weren't interested in those spotlights. Nothing like you say, you know what? I got some things I can give. I got some. Ain't nobody giving us no direction about what we need to do. Nothing. This shit was crazy. No public directives, no great speeches about how we can do this. This is Los Angeles. We can come together. None of that. Not from up there. Not from the goddamn Taj Mahal downtown. These people got out here and got this goddamn work done. It was really something to behold. It really, really was. So I ain't gonna keep going on. But this is my thank you shout out. This is just from Cashapp. Whew. I got lightheaded for a second. Let me grab some water. Whew. Let me go grab some water real quick, like. Okay. Woo. Shit. This is just from Cashapp donations. So I'll do the other apps, and then also people, anybody who has bought jewelry from the Etsy store, anybody that's paid for like divination sessions, anybody that has let's see, Etsy. Oh, and anybody that has contributed to the GoFundMe. Over the next 2 days, I'm gonna be shouting everybody out because it's important to me. I've been wanting to do it for a long time. It's just everything is a lot. Everything is a lot. I don't have no secretaries and nothing like that. And so every piece of work becomes freaking overwhelming. So I said, you know what? Today is the day, because it was a long day and I had gotten a donation earlier today on Cashapp, and I was because of all the stuff I was applying for, I had to go through and compile my statements for proof of income. And I was like, you know what? While I'm up in here, I might as well go ahead and shout everybody out. And I want to do that. So I'm going to do that first. And I'm going to talk to you about this insane thing that I did Sunday night. So this is my shout out. Thank you to those who have contributed via Cashapp since I think I stopped in October. Since October. Okay. Oh, I see you, Royal. I haven't been keeping up with the comment section, but yeah, she said same thing happened on the land in Central Park. Same thing happened in Black Wall Street. Same story happens when they trying to move people out in masses. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, she say City Hall robbed itself. I ain't got no problem believing that. It's like everybody that calls themselves leaders are outright in your face breaking laws, but we too scared to roll up on a bank. You feel me? To roll up on Beverly Hills. Shit. You feel me? Anyway. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm like that. Woo. All right, shout out. So several of you are regular donors. Like y'all donate regularly, and the list is long. But if I can remember, I meant to put like little asterisks or something by those of you who have received more than one donation from over 3 months. So I'm gonna try. So for everybody that I know right off the top of my head has donated regularly, I'm gonna give you a little whoop whoop next to your name. Okay. So Faith, whoop whoop. Okay. I like that. And she is actually on my list of shout outs. Morgan L. She's actually on my list. Y'all heard that cha-ching? Somebody just bought something from Etsy. See how that? I love Etsy. I love the little cha-ching that come with Etsy. I'm like, okay, money came. Love that. Thank you, Morgan. You was on my list of people to shout out. Whoop whoop. Faith. Whoop whoop. Annie. Annie M. Whoop whoop. Ricardo. Whoop whoop. And Alexandra H is actually local. Let me tell you what had happened. She used to be a patient of mine, and I had not seen her in about 1.5 years, maybe almost 2 years. You know what I'm saying? Life be life, and people got to do what they got to do. She calls me out the blue one day, and she was like, I finally come up from hibernation, and I'm reaching out to people that I want to get in touch with. You want me? Can I take you to dinner next week? I was like, yes, you can take me to dinner next week. Yes, you can. Understand? And she took me to this. I'd never been. As a matter of fact, I haven't eaten Ethiopian food since like since like 2013, 2014. I hadn't eaten Ethiopian food in many a year. She was like, I got this, my favorite Ethiopian spot. I haven't been in so long. Let's go there. I was like, that sounds like a plan to me. We go to this cute little Ethiopian spot, and the whole menu is vegan. The whole menu is vegan. I was like, let's go on up in here and tear up these plates. Okay. That food was so wonderful. The cake was vegan. The food was vegan. It was so wonderful. So Alexandra H, whoop whoop. Irene M, whoop whoop. Obasi, Ken's color box, whoop 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 whoop. Ken be going in. Ken color box be going in. Even if it's gonna be like, I made this declaration, I haven't been good about keeping it, but I was like, if everybody that logs on to a live of mine donates $1 or $2 every time they see a live, that would be enough to sustain. That would be enough to sustain me, because it's always anywhere from like 65 to about, let's see how many. It's like 32 right now, but I'm always triple streaming. I'm streaming from YouTube. I was streaming from TikTok before my phone died. I'm streaming on IG. You feel me? And so I'm always multi-streaming. And so on average, I'm getting, whenever I do a live, because I'm not doing lives every day, on average, I'm getting anywhere from 65, if I'm just on YouTube, from 65 to about 125 live, views when I go live. And I was like, damn, it ain't that deep. You feel me? Like if everybody says, okay, well, she's only live streaming right now, it's only been 1 to 3 times a week. It was every day, but now it's just like 1 to 3 times a week that I'm streaming live, and y'all getting gold when I do. I just did a 5-hour live, a 6-hour live, an 11-hour live, and y'all was up on this bitch the whole time. Y'all just as crazy as I am. Y'all are just as crazy as I am. Y'all just as crazy as I am. Because I'm like, damn, it ain't no 11 hours. That's impossible. How? Like, what could I have possibly been talking about for no 11 hours? And and as soon as I say I'm up off here, I'm looking at how many people live with me, and there's still 60 people just watching after 11 hours. So y'all just as crazy as I am, okay? But I'm like, damn, if I'm dropping gold, if I'm teaching whole ass workshop seminars up on this bitch every time I go live, and everybody that joins the live, no matter how long you up on here, donate $1 to $2 every time. If everybody that's watching live donates $1 to $2 every live, that will make up for the fact that I am shadow banned on YouTube and cannot make more than about $300 to $400 a month. You feel me? And you getting a workshop for less than a hamburger, for less than a pack of baby fries. You can't get shit for $1 or $2. There ain't shit you can get. Nothing. You can't even get a half a tank of gas with $2. You feel me? So that was what I was doing. And I was trying to like make it normal, like a part of the culture. Like everybody that's watching live, donate your $1, donate your $2. There was only 2 people who took that shit to heart. And for the longest time, but I haven't been disciplined about saying it every time. There were 2 people that went hard. They heard me. And even though I wasn't saying it regular, Ken's Color Box and GJP, every time I went live, as soon as I went live, my little Cashapp was going to go cha-ching. And I knew exactly who it was going to be. It was going to be Ken Color Box, and it was going to be GJP. They took that shit to heart every single time. Every single time. So thank you to, in particular, for your diligency, even as I have not been diligent in making the call for, if you up on here and you know you about to get fed, what meal you know you can go and get for $2? If you know you about to get fed, where can you go to get any meal for $2? And I be up on here dropping dimes. Okay? So Ken Color Box, thank you, boo. Whoop, whoop. Janet Kennedy, whoop, whoop. Tanisha, oh, I didn't mean to say y'all whole name. I know some of y'all sensitive about y'all last name. Tanisha C, whoop, whoop. Rosa Quarton, whoop, whoop. Shoot, I didn't mean to write out y'all name because I knew I was going to get caught up saying y'all last name out loud. Lolita M, whoop, whoop. Russell D, Rosa Liu, Rosa L. She is one of the ones that came to my birthday party. We had never met until she and her baby came to my birthday party. Woo woo. Let me see. This might be y'all. Yep, it is. Let me shout y'all out. It might be y'all giving me money. Ken's Color Box and Morgan L and Ebony 4 and Ebony F. Thank y'all. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all for it. I love that. That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay. Let's see. Cheyenne D, Chantel C, and I put whoop 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 next to her name. Jamila R, Vortex Ninja, whoop whoop whoop. Candace W, Shayla B. I think she got a whoop whoop too. I didn't put asterisks by nobody's name, so I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. Next time I'm gonna put asterisks by all the whoop whoops. Teresa K, Cheryl H, Nabila T, I love you too. She put a little note. I love you. I say thank you. I love you too. So I put that in parentheses. D Spears, Debbie T, S. Taylor, whoop whoop. Hoda, Gabrielle E. L.N. McIntyre, Ejekime, whoop, Savoy C, Yancey M, Ursula R. I don't know if this is Desire or Desiree. I didn't see an asterisk, but I don't know. GJP, whoop, 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 whoop. Yvette Lee D, Alacia M, whoop, whoop. Nima W, Andrea M, Hanifa G, Taylor M, whoop, whoop. She came to my birthday party too, all the way from South Carolina. Tanya, Fontello T, I love you too. I love when y'all leave notes and emojis because I'm gonna start responding like that. Carol J, I think, yeah, whoop whoop. Carolyn J, whoop whoop. Constance L, whoop whoop. Morgan L, whoop whoop. Lolita M, whoop whoop. Tia G, whoop 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 whoop. Yolanda V, whoop 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 whoop. Rosa S, Rosa S, whoop whoop. Java W, whoop whoop. Martha's daughter, Agene G, Shauna L, whoop whoop. Yvette LD, Sika, I think, Sika or Seka, and Phoenix Rising, whoop whoop. So that is the list, okay? Then I have one more thing that we need to do before I get into what I was going to talk to y'all about. So a sister friend of ours, and those of you who have been following my channel any given period of time know this sister just from the comment section. I have actually interviewed her on my channel a couple of times too, but more specifically, she be all up in the comment section for a long time. And I had not been hearing from her. And I thought about her the other night when I was talking to y'all, because I was telling y'all we needed to get together. And when I was talking about the Manly P. Hall book, The Secret Teaching of All the Ages, and how the idea that I was saying we need to get the book and divide the book up into chapters and assign chapters to every woman. And then you read the chapter and you break down the chapter in your interpretation to bring it back to the group. And we all change chapters until all of us have read the whole book. And this being like a deep dive, like political, spiritual education process. And how I got the idea from this sister because she wanted us to do the same thing when I did the review on, what was that movie? Wicked last year. And she's like, this could be a fundraiser. We could all do a chapter and our own interpretation of the movie or whatever, and then bring it together and put it in a book. And this could be a fundraiser for the temple. She was the one that gave me the idea when I started going off on Manly P. Hall. And so when I talked about her a few nights ago, I was like, damn, I haven't seen her in the comment section in a minute. Like, what's up? I was like, is she mad at me? Because I be making people mad. I do. I be making people mad. I don't mean to. That ain't my intention, but that's what be happening. Okay. So I was like, damn, not Taji Lee. She can't be mad. Let me call her because I ain't even going to be trying. Let me just call her. And I called her I texted her first, and she was telling me that she was not mad at me, that she is very, very sick. She is very ill. And I told her that I would put her name out there. She said it was okay. Because I was like, some people don't want their business out in the street like that. But the sister is seriously, concerningly ill. She has cancer. And so I told her that we were going to draft a conspiracy specifically for her. So I'm going to do that. If y'all got some words specifically y'all want me to add to conspiracy and pull that joint together. And this is going to be specifically for Taja Bland. That's her last name, Taja Bland. And so we gonna cover this sister. And so I will have that. If y'all want to make verbal, like word contributions to this conspiracy that we are going to compile for Sister Taja, email me tonight and let me know so I can pull it together tomorrow, because we're gonna start speaking this conspiracy on her behalf regular. Yeah, I did not know, and She says she's been in the hospital for some time. So that's what we gonna do for her. Okay. So I will email me tonight and put Sister Taji in the subject header and whatever you want your contribution to be to the conspiracy. And we're gonna do that. And then the rest, so I still got to go through like my PayPal and my Venmo and the GoFundMe and the Etsy store. So anybody that's bought anything from the Etsy store, I'm gonna put you on the list as donor. And so I'll do that over the next 2 or 3 lives until I get everybody. Oh, and subscribers. That's the other thing. People who are paid members of my YouTube channel, your name is going to go on the list too. So I have to pull all that out, like the little spreadsheets for all of that. But for right now, that's everybody that I shouted out. I see y'all love the little whoop whoop in the comment section. Cool. All right. So, child, this might be a record because it's only an hour and 55 minutes. I was like, okay, let's go. It might be a record while I stick my foot in my mouth, and then we be up in here till 3 o'clock in the morning. I didn't know how bad I needed that. Okay, so let me tell you what happened. I have been up in here really, really tripping. Oh, you know what? Before I do that, let me go ahead and do the the housekeeping. Okay. Okay, Yasmin. What's your last name? Yasmin P. Thank you for the donation. Yes, love that. Love that. So let me go ahead and do the the housekeeping. So, especially for those of you who are tuning in via IG. So again, my name is Cassandra-Floyd, founder of the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence, which is a religious nonprofit or 501c3 located here in Los Angeles. Hey man, Okay. So I might put the housekeeping off for a little bit because my IG ended and I had to start a new one, and there were several people logged into my IG. So I'm gonna wait till I get some people up on here to do the little housekeeping, but don't let me in the comment section forget the housekeeping because people might want to contribute. You feel what I'm saying? So I'm gonna do the little housekeeping in a minute. Meantime, if y'all want to do some super chats or some super thanks or some super things up in the comment section, I love that. If you want to become a paid subscriber or member to the YouTube channel, I love that too. And then I'm gonna put the housekeeping. Hey, Knowledge Born Allah, what's up? What's up, black man? This brother has interviewed me so many times, and I got to figure out how to rip the interviews because I would love to repost the interviews, but I think he told me he can't find them because this has been ages ago. I don't think he can find them on his hard drive. I'll have to learn how to rip the interviews because he conducts really good interviews. I've liked Knowledge Born Allah's interviewed me, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 times over the years. So I'm gonna have to find find a way to rip the interviews because they're really good. It's good to see you up in here, brother. Let's see. I want to personally thank everyone who donates to our teacher. Oh, I love you for that, Royale. It's good. That's I like that. Lauren Janae 35. It's good to see you. And let's see who this is. Tanetta. Have I seen you on here before? I think I'll be trying to remember everybody's name. The alchemist poet. What? Silence 11292, how you doing? Miss Melina 220, how you doing? FG Apothecary, what? Java Watson, Earth Beauty 01, Misha Leanne, how you doing? Ken Colorbox, what? Zahara Voodoo 7447, how you doing? Yes, like and share, people, like and share. Jamie B 222, how you doing? Silence 11292. Let's see who else is up in here. Mystical Press XO, let's go. Who else up in here? Royal gets it. Let's see who is Wooden one. I don't know you, but I like that name. All right, that's it. That's everybody. Okay, so we up in here. All right. So y'all in the comment section up on here on YouTube, don't let me forget to do the housekeeping when those who were live on my live on IG are back up in the room. Okay. Ancient Mamas. Whoop whoop. I love that. Ancient Mama Sage Page 818 in the house. How you doing? Okay. So let me just tell you what had happened. I've been tripping for about good 2-3 weeks. Running. Knowledge Boy say, keep teaching, Cosmic Mother. And you know what? Let me say one more thing about Knowledge Born Allah and our notorious interviews. Knowledge Born Allah probably single-handedly gives the best interview introductions I have ever heard. It's not just me. Everybody that he interviews, he gives this great, glowing, glorious introduction. I'm like, almost like bashful, like, damn. You know what I'm saying? He gives really, it's like he really, some people who do interviews, you can tell that they don't, like the thing that always drove me crazy is if a person does an interview of somebody, like they interview somebody because they, you know, they got clout, they got pull, and they're talking to the person and you can tell they ain't never read a single thing that the person's ever wrote. Hold on just a second. Right? Like they interview the person because they see the capacity for the person to bring, you know, to bring their people. And then they start interviewing the person, and they don't know what to ask them because they interviewing a writer and they ain't read nothing that the writer wrote. Like I always hated that, where you could tell that the interviewer doesn't know anything about the person that they've called into the interview. That is not Knowledge Born Allah. He conducts really thorough interviews. You can tell that he knows who he has invited to his show. So I wanted to big you up, brother, because this brother's been interviewing me since like 2014, 2015, something like that. So, all right. So, what was I saying before bigging him up? What I was saying was, I've been tripping. Okay. Tripping. And I'm going to say something else. I will never be in this circumstance again. Never. And if it means to never be in the situation that I'm in again, if it means that I got to make a regular habit of knocking over banks, bitch, we about to be about that life. I don't care. Like if if Donald Trump can be a 34 time convicted felon, that should let everybody else know, baby, all bets are off. This shit is on and popping. If he can commit crimes to and fro, be the first president to be a convicted felon, and he is the one running the country, he the one setting the example. All you got to do is say Trump made me do it. If you got to go jump on a pole to get your money, bitch, if you got to go hustle the street corner, bitch, all bets is off. All sense of, quote, social moral decorum. As soon as he got elected, that should have been our 411. If he get elected, it mean this shit on and pop. It's Wild West out. It's Wild West out this beach. And if you ain't adjusting for the times, then it's your fault. Then you were slipping because we just elected a 34-time convicted felon. He is our what you call it? He is the poster child for the moment. He is the poster child for what is possible in America. Oh, yes, he is. Yes, he is. When that Java Watson say I'm about to get into the cartel. Okay. Can we be up on some organized crime up in this bitch? You feel me? When that little brother on TikTok, he was so young, but he was so serious because he is internalizing the crisis of the moment. We trying to color within the moral lines superimposed on us to benefit one group at the expense of all others, and we still trying to color within the moral line that they drew, that they themselves is stamped the fuck out, and in the most personified way. There's like, not only can we be criminals and get away with it, but we can elect a criminal that opens up the way for us to color even further outside the line. We need to be taking the example. Motherfucking later for bourgeois moral codes. It's on the popping. And if it ain't on the popping, then I'm gonna say it's something. What's wrong with y'all? What's wrong with y'all? Peaceful demonstrations. We have to have peaceful demonstrations. And listen, if y'all ain't demonstrating like Thailand, what's the other people that's been setting shit off? If y'all ain't demonstrating like Indonesia, if y'all ain't demonstrating like France, what did France do? There's like, I forget what it was they was responding to, but like, this how y'all gonna go down? And all the people who were agriculturalists took dump trucks, big old giant dump trucks of cow shit. Yes, they did, and dumped it right on the steps of City Hall. Yes, they did that. It's like we ain't got to be loud. We ain't got to fight in the streets. We ain't got to hold no placards. Let us get these dump trucks we got to move manure and shit, and just show you what we talking about. Just show you what we mean. We can. What your mom and your daddy used to tell you when they was about to spank your behind. I can show you better than I can tell you. That's the shit we got to be on. If you gonna boycott, it better be accompanied with some extra shit. Okay. Anyway, so I don't even know how I got on that shit. Yes. So I've been telling y'all this for a long time anyway, so y'all ain't gonna be surprised. You feel me? I've been telling y'all this for about 5 years. That do not be clutching your pearls. Do not be gasping in surprise when you find out that your soon to be mayor been popping the butt cheeks on a pole late night to get these coins. Okay. I'm just saying that she done started a goddess-centered adult entertainment company as her side project, her side artistic project. I've been telling y'all that long before this nigga got in office. Do not be clutching your pearls. Do not be clutching your pearls. Do not be clutching your pearls. And I always used to say, that used to be my saying, don't let me go on ahead. What I used to say, let me go ahead, lose 50 pounds real quick so I can jump up on one of these poles. I ain't about to lose no pounds. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna have my whole goddess evidentiary belly, stretch marks and all. That way you can see that this bitch done crafted a whole lineage out of her body. You need to see that I have crafted a whole lineage out of my body. You understand? That I'm a tree, bitch. And I got rings. I got old ass rings. What are the evidence of my rings? Not in my stretch marks. And the product of my stretch marks. My daughter. My grandchildren. Not just my stretch marks. You feel me? Because there are other human beings that call me mama. You feel me? That call me yay. You feel me? So y'all about to get these stretch marks on my ass. Yep. I'm about to get this stretch mark belly with lightning bolts all over it. that I was gifted after my daughter came out of my body and she left me with all these little lightning bolts in my belly. I thank my baby for that. I don't blame my baby for that. I thank my baby for that. Yep. So I ain't losing shit. And if my big old ass can't jump up on the pole, that's all right. That's all right, bitch. I'll improvise. Okay. Do I need a chair? Do my little thing on the chair? That's all right too. I'll do that. We about to be up in. We got to get this money. And we can't keep on complaining about billionaires robbing us when we let them rob us. We can't complain about billionaires robbing us when we let them rob us. We gotta buck back. We gotta bow up. You feel me? Anyway, that being said, this shit that I've been experiencing since the summertime, this will never happen again. This will never happen again to me. This will never happen again to me. Never. There ain't no motherfucking excuse. Fucking brilliant as I am, in a city that generates $86 million a day, I want my cut, bitch. I want my cut. I'm sitting here trying to crunch numbers. What is a legitimate percentage of this 86 million this motherfucker create out of thin air every year? Every day. Every day. LA generates $86 million a day. Where I need my cut. So what do I have to do to get my cut of this $86 million a day this city generate? You feel me? I need my cut. And I'm not gonna do no bullshit to get my cut. We older than that. We know more than that. We better than that. We just spent a whole month talking about great grandmother Crone, aka Nana Budaku, aka Oya, aka Oshun, aka Yemaya, all of whom, every single one of these deities, great godmother Kali, great wonderful bountiful Sekhmet, all these goddesses, what do they all have in common? Even if they're destroyer goddesses, what do they all have in common? That every single one of them have a primary attribute that says we want women to be rich. Think I'm lying? Go back and read your Apothekeys about Yemaya. You think I'm lying? Go back and read your Apothekeys about Oshun. You think I'm lying? Go back. Even with the great destructive mother Oya, her primary archetype is that she wants female entrepreneurs to be rich. She's called the owner of the marketplace, Oya. People hyper-focus on her destructive self to vilify her and to terrorize women into staying away from her because they, quote, scared of the storm. Nah, bitch, the storm is to move all this bullshit out the way so your black ass, especially if you run a business, can be rich. All our mothers want us to be wealthy. And when I say wealthy, I mean bountiful. I mean happy, experiencing pleasure in your body. That's wealth. That is all your needs are met damn near effortlessly. Not no laborious this and that and drudgingly bullshit. That ain't never been none of these archetypes. None of them. Nowhere. None of the goddesses. Nowhere on earth. That they want you to suffer and struggle and be woesome and tired because you got babies swinging off your titties. And that ain't never been none of these deities. None of them. First of all, the ability to be bountiful is because you got homies. You got a whole society, a whole egalitarian society of women. And when the women are running an egalitarian society, guess what? They sons thrive too. Who are they sons? Every man in the society. It's only when men think they can run some shit that shit goes to chaos, turns to shit. We have the evidence. What more evidence do you need? 6,000 years of quantifiable evidence that when men run anything, the world goes to shit. Not they thing go to shit. The whole world goes to shit. We got 6,000 years of evidence the globe over that when men think they can run shit, the world turns to shit. But the other part of that is when women run shit from the center, not from top down, from the center, having the ability to see everything that they run, that they organize, that they orchestrate in harmonious union with other sisters, mamas, aunties, nieces, cousins, girlfriends, homies, grandmas, big mamas, running things from the center. Guess what? Men tend to be happy. I have found that men who have been raised in female heavy families, bunch of sisters, mamas, aunties, this and that, and this and that. I have found that men who grow up in societies that are female heavy are happier and they have more respect for women. If it's just a man who grows up in a household with just his mama and maybe a sister, he hates women. He ends up hating women because what he is internalizing is the burden that his mother felt having to be doing that shit by herself. And he, as a baby, not knowing no better, feels her burden and her frustration and her lack of support. He internalizes it as if his mother does not love him. That's what his little baby self feels in his body. His mama don't love me because she mad every time she come home. She don't have nothing nice to say. He don't understand mama is exhausted and feels abandoned by the fucking world. And so every time, because she tired, she exhausted, she's worn absolutely the fuck out and knows the entire world hates her at the same time. And so when she come home, even though she loves her kids, and the evidence that she loves her kids is that she works like a beast of burden because that's the only thing that she can do to make sure that her babies ain't living on the motherfucking street. But the problem is that she working like a beast of burden. And in her mind, like my mama told me, like most of our mamas tell us, that the evidence of love is all the shit I have to endure to take care of you. So I don't feel like hugging. I don't feel like kissing. I don't feel like giving you no sugar. I don't feel like sitting and playing with you. I don't feel like sitting and watching TV with you and talking to you about what we watching. The evidence that I love you is that there's food in the refrigerator. The rent is paid. We got lights on. That's the evidence. The fact that I got to work 12, 16-hour days, that's the evidence that I love you. And so I'm sorry if I ain't got no energy left to demonstrate affection. And that little black baby or that little boy child, because it ain't just black folks. Everybody mama is exhausted. Everybody mama is exhausted. And so these little babies, if they got just a mama and them, or my mama and a sister, and that's it, these males end up hating their mothers, loving their mothers, but hating women because they felt like their mama didn't love them because she wasn't affectionate. She didn't talk sweet to them. She didn't cuddle them every night before they went to sleep. You know what I'm saying? They were just objects in her home that she had an obligation to take care of. I know how that is because I spent the last 3 years apologizing to my daughter for the same thing. But I love my daughter. More than any human being on earth, I love my baby. I love my grandbabies the way I love my grandbabies because I love their mama. And looking back, even though I did everything that I could to make sure that she didn't experience, well, she didn't. I made sure she didn't experience the fact that we were poor. And that's what my mama did for me and my sister. We didn't really know we were poor because my mama was working 16 motherfucking hours a day. Literally, not figuratively. My mama spent years of our life, years of our teenage years, working 16-hour days, 16-hour days to make sure that we could have at least minimally the things that we wanted. that we could have a home that didn't have holes in the floor, like the first house we grew up in had holes in the floor. We could see outside through our house, through our trailer. You know what I'm saying? And I did that for my daughter. I made sure that even though we was poor, that her mama struggled, okay? That she did not know that. She did not know that we were poor. You know what I'm saying? And so I don't even know how I got on that. But I don't even remember how I got on that. I'm gonna tell you. This week was interesting. It was like the kind of pressure, and I'm still under it. The kind of pressure that I have been under since before September, it's a kind of pressure I haven't felt in a very, very long time. I talked to y'all about that the other night. It hasn't been since I was getting ready to graduate medical school. In the same year I was getting ready to graduate, I was in the process of a divorce. My daughter was about to graduate college months after I graduated medical school. My two other kids, my stepchildren, who I love very, very much, moved out of our house that same year. It was a gargantuan amount of insane that I experienced. That is the time that I have felt that depth of pressure, because I didn't have time to process heartbreak. I didn't have time to process the fact that I felt betrayed. I felt humiliated because I had propped my ex-husband up so much because he was a genius. And I thought that if he had just been given the opportunity to have that genius supported and nurtured, that he could be so much more. And the conversations that we had, the work that we did, and the fact that we were deliberate revolutionaries. I was like, okay, so we have the framework, a commitment that's based on the fact that we were revolutionaries before, quote, he and I were husband and wife, right? And so when we were out in the world, people saw us as a revolutionary culture. I couldn't tell you how many freaking thousands of times people were like, oh my God, I can't wait till I find my divine revolutionary partner. Y'all are just such a one. Y'all give us hope. And it got to the point where I hear people say that shit, and I'd be like, you know what? You can take them home if you want to. You can have them. But I would not condemn a sister to that shit. You feel me? That's how bad it had gotten. That we were doing incredible events, incredible work, leading incredible, dynamic, game-changing community work, not just quote events. We was like some shit we were doing politically, I can't talk to y'all about on this platform. But when I tell you fucking dynamic and gangster shit, and it had gotten to the point, and I love the work. I love the work. I loved organizing schools for kids that like after school study programs that were fun and dynamic, and these kids wouldn't bobbing their head from boredom and shit. I loved organizing events for women, giving women birthing alternatives, because the maternal and infant mortality rate in Tampa Bay was higher than any place in the country except Mississippi. That while the national average for maternal mortality in Black women is Black women are 3 times more likely to die in childbirth than their white counterparts, that in Tampa Bay at the time, Black women were 5 times more likely to die in childbirth. And so a big part of our program, as the organization that we built, my ex-husband and I, was to deal with the crisis of birthing in Tampa Bay. And it wasn't some inherent flaw of Black femininity, that it was a genocidal campaign to shorten the life expectancy and decrease the Black population in Tampa. There was no other way to explain that a woman in a Western country with the self-proclaimed best medical system on earth, that Black women, no matter their economic situation, that Black women in Tampa Bay were 5 times more likely to die in childbirth. Mexican women in Tampa Bay were 3 times more likely to die in childbirth than their white female counterparts. So the work, not just that, like I said, some shit we can't talk about up on here, but if y'all interested, we got to figure out how to do that. But that's the above board dope ass work that we were doing. And then, you know, the work wasn't enough. The vision for a future, not just for us and our children, but for all of us, was not enough to keep him from engaging in behavior. See, this is the thing. I want to tell y'all this. It wasn't what I was going to talk about, but I do want to say this because I hear it so much, even today, where some person, some man, some person with a penis that we put up, we raise up. This dude, you said he be really knowing what he talking about. He really about that life. Please stop. Just please stop doing that. Just please. Can we not deify men for just a little while? Can we just go 5 collective years without deifying males? Any male. Just that don't mean that they can't be smart. That don't mean that they can't be skilled and gifted. Can we as a collective, can we as a group, just for 5 years, see what it would feel like in the world for us to just acknowledge that a person may be smart, that a person may be brilliant, without deifying them or messiahifying them, letting them be regular, just smart. What if brilliant was just the baseline? Can we create that? Can we create a world where brilliant is the starting point, where brilliant is the baseline, and then we all just raise up from there? You feel me? Can we do that? We wouldn't have no need to deify or messiahify no other motherfucker with a penis. Nobody, period, for that matter. Can we let that be the baseline? Like, let that be the starting point. Is that from now on we make the commitment that we ain't gonna deify, we ain't gonna messiahify nobody. We ain't gonna do that. You feel me? Because first of all, in male people with penises, you feel me? What ends up happening when they get deified or they get messiahified is something happens chemically in their brain. You feel me? And once that chemical switch happens, it is inevitable that even with the best of intentions, that they really meant what they said in the beginning, once that chemical switch flips, they lost. They lost. The ego, that's all the brain needed, that one little chemical switch. Whoop. And ego is like, I'm up in here, bitch. I'm consolidated. I'm consolidated up in this bitch. I ain't going nowhere. And you can just see him, the he with the penis that has been deified and messiahified. You can just see him descend into bullshittery. Bullshittery. My husband was no different. Bless him. Because when I met him, and I'm a great judge of character. When I met him, I was certain. I was like, this, and I was certain of it because the party kept giving him such a hard time. He was such a roughneck. He was such a hood nigga. You feel me? Born and raised, doing dirt in the streets of Philly. You feel me? Northeast nigga with a lot of swag. Helped that he was easy on the eyes, but he was sharp as nails. Ooh, his brain, man. If I miss anything, it is his brain. It is his brain, man. And I fell for the same bullshit the second time when I got engaged. Fortunately, I saw soon enough that I was like, oh no, there's too many red signs, too many red flags. But my ex-fiance, brilliant. His brain I really miss. His brain I really miss. I love the display of true and genuine genius in men. I do. But I also recognize the very second, the very millisecond, the very instant when that brilliance becomes malignant. I see it so often. It's like a giant red blink. You know, in the movies where you see them big red blinking lights and it's got that little scratchy sound every time you see it, that little, that clear. Because that's always been my weakness. Even when I was unconscious. I haven't even thought about this. I don't think about this man at all. My baby daddy, the white boy, he was not good looking. I mean, he wasn't like a dog, but he just wasn't stereotypically good looking. And he was kind of awkward, but he was brilliant. Oh my God. It has always been my weakness. I never even sat down to assess that. It's always been my weakness. I love smart men. I love brilliant men. I love intellectually sound men, sharp men. And it doesn't even have to be a thing that I'm interested in. If they are obviously passionate and like deep about the thing that they're into, I can listen, even if they ain't nothing I've ever even considered. They talking about, I don't know, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like did you know? Because I used to date this biker. He was fine. Yeah, I'll be honest. His fine outweighed his brilliance, but he had a great mind. But he was fine. And he was like a total roughneck. That's the other problem I've always had. I love a rebel. Y'all call them bad boys. They ain't bad boys. They are rebels who are not conscious. That's all. Something in them makes them want to buck. Something in them makes them want to fight the system, to do everything opposing to what the system has established. Y'all call them bad boys. There's a reason that bitches love bad boys. Because the bitches don't understand either that the reason that they're attracted to so-called bad boys is they are longing for rebellion. And since they themselves cannot rebel, they seek out that which embodies that which they desire. We've talked, shit. We talked about this before. We talked about in a different way. But I was telling you how outraged I was when I saw this documentary about the culture of groupies here in LA over the years, over the many decades. And the thing that was so shocking about this documentary was how open the culture was in LA for allowing obvious babies. I'm looking in the face of these children. They were children. Not young adults. They were children, child. And how a band could walk into a club to do a show and literally child, this documentary had me in my feelings. I wanted to burn this whole goddamn city to the ground. We got to burn this bitch all the way to the ground and start this motherfucker all over. Cause I am mad as fuck up in here watching this bullshit. How some of your most beloved bands. And so I'm gonna tell you, I ain't gonna stop listening to none of the music that I listen to because I was up in here in my feelings. I was like, damn, another one off the block, another one chopped off the block. I'm gonna have to stop listening to everybody that defined my goddamn youth because everybody was fucking pariah. And I mean everybody. Wasn't nobody innocent. I hadn't found one yet that was innocent. Everybody was pariah. If they was black and male, they were pariah. If they were white and male, they were pariah. When I tell you, I be shook. Leonard Cohen is a sweet little folk singer. Just a bird on the wire. He's the one that wrote Hallelujah. That y'all love some. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Folk singer. Just a nice guy, Leonard Cohen. Pariah. I saw a damn documentary about Leonard Cohen. I said, I'm through. It is over. I'm fucking done. I'm done. Okay. Every peace singer of the 1960s, pariah. Mm-hmm. All. The Beatles, pariah. I thought that John Lennon was the good one because he had the common sense, you feel me, to go out here and really rebel against the Vietnam War. And he was going over there to find out for himself what they were saying about the Black Panther Party. And then he participated in cooking some food during when he went to go visit the Black Panthers in Oakland. I was like, you know what? John Lennon, he a down ass motherfucker. That's why they had to go and get him. No, they didn't have to go. No, they was making a statement because John Lennon was pariah. As a matter of fact, most people in these conspiracy spaces, most people say that their original, I think he was the drummer. That the reason that drummer died of a massive aneurysm is because 6 months earlier, he and John Lennon get in a fight. And after John Lennon then already beat him up and knocked him out, he on the ground, knocked out. John Lennon took the boot of the heel of his cowboy boot and kept stomping on the guy's head after he was already unconscious. 6 months later, motherfucker have an aneurysm. John Lennon was trying to teach his 3-year-old child how to eat a steak. And when the child dropped the knife on the floor, took his hand and popped the child on the side of the head, causing permanent hearing loss. This child was deaf in one ear his whole life because he hit him so hard that he perforated his goddamn eardrum. That was John. Aside from the fact that John Lennon was in a goddamn interview, didn't even pause when he said it. I said, y'all, John Lennon was in an interview, man, and said that his mother had tried to have sex with him when he was a teenager, and he pushed her away. He like rejected her. And he said, because I remember what it was. The interviewer said, do you have any regrets? He was like, well, when I was a teenager, when I was like 16, my mom tried to have sex with me and I like rejected her. I pushed her off and I like got an attitude or whatever. And he said, so I guess the only regret that I have is that I did not sleep with her. In an interview, y'all. He said that in an interview. That when the reporter asked him, do you have any regrets? And his only regret was that he did not welcome his mother's attempt at incest. Child, when I say they are all pariah, don't nobody get the benefit of the doubt out this bitch. Now that they was born with a penis, nope. No. I saw this documentary the other day. I need to stop watching documentaries. Because every time I watch one, when I think that there is nothing else that can be revealed that will surprise me, I get up on here and watch a goddamn documentary, and I'm like, oh, I'm either mad or disgusted, or both. I got to stop watching documentaries. Because when I tell you, I saw this other documentary because we are, Me Too and Me Too movement and all of that stuff. And we was rallying for the women to, the culture here of like big old directors and producers, sex exploitation, all this shit. Right. And a couple of times that people have come forward, the whole society shames the fuck out of them until they end up committing suicide. This whole documentary was about the still very hidden culture of this same Hollywood culture and its peculiar history of the sexual exploitation of male children and male teenagers and male young adults. This documentary went down the line of some of the most famous men in Hollywood during Hollywood's so-called golden age, from the 1920s to the 1970s, down the line, reading journal excerpts from men that everybody was like dashing and daring and beautiful and wonderful and Mr. All-American guy. Baby, nobody was spared. Nobody was spared. I was like up in here, baby. Paul Newman, Rock Hudson, and that's another question don't nobody want to talk about. But was Rock Hudson gay, or was Rock Hudson accustomed to a culture imposed on him to the extent that it no longer bothered him, that he was going to have to go and have sex with multiple men in order to get a part? And if he did not do that, he knew what the alternative was to be completely blacklisted in this city and reduced to all them black women that I was talking about the other day who ended up having to wash dishes or clean toilet bowls or be a housemaid and shit because they got blackballed out of goddamn Hollywood and couldn't even get a regular ass working class job in this city. All of them died prematurely. 3 of them committed suicide. None of them died of old age. Baby, the one thing that these males had over these black women was they were still white and male. They were young. Most of them were so young when they were sought after by the industry, man. The person who did this documentary was saying that friends had turned over like journals, like private journals of these men. One woman said, I think she said James Dean. Baby, the James Dean story of his exploitation as a young man. They're saying this dude was saying that I had not heard this either. That James Dean, he died very young. He's a part of the 27 Club. He was 27 years old when he died. That James Dean bought this, it was like I forget what, it was some kind of convertible, right? The car that he died in. And the car, supposedly, people were trying to talk him out of buying the car because the car was notorious for being cursed. Are y'all here? I never heard the story about John Dean. That it was a notorious story floating around the city about this particular car that had gone from one owner to another, right? They'd fix it up because it was a fly ass car, sell it to another person. And people around him were like, please don't buy the car, man. Don't buy the car. The car got a history. The car got a spirit in it or something. I'm telling you. I said, what? I ain't never heard this. And I think they said 3 weeks after he bought the car, he was killed in that car. After he died in the car, they were saying they fixed the car up, tried to sell the car. Somebody else died in the fucking car. So they was like, you know what? This car got too much of a bad history. We're gonna, what do they call it? Like break the car down, like piece it off for parts. We're gonna just fuck it. You know what I'm saying? Too much controversy around the car. We're gonna break the shit down, parlay it off as parts. Somebody bought the engine. They motherfucking ass died. Died when they put the engine in their car. I was like, there was like all these stories that they finally had to compile the goddamn missing parts. And I think it's like it was in a museum for a long time or something. But the car was killing people, right? But James Dean, let me see if I can find it. Let me see if it's still in my my history. It was something to the effect of 15. Oh, what was it? It was called don't quote me. After this Sage page, it's got to be in my history because I just watched it recently. As a matter of fact, a couple of days before I watched that one, famous black women that were destroyed by white men. And you know what? I got beef, man, because the Red Hot Chili Peppers, they were like the anthems of my youth. When I started hearing all these horror stories about Red Hot Chili Peppers and Anthony Kiedis in particular, I was like, this sorry, sloppy old ass bitch. Well, I'm saying I had an attitude. I still have an attitude about Anthony Kiedis. But then I saw a documentary about his early life. The culture of patriarchy creates every monster. Not haphazardly, strategically, violently creates every monster. Doesn't mean I give monsters no pass, but there is a basis behind, and it's not absolution, behind when we ask the question, what happened to this human being in their past that has produced this monster? Asking one question does not mean that we absolve the behavior of the grown thinking man. Injustice and the observation and execution of justice from the framework of non-patriarchal women, creating an egalitarian society that can see all things, see all the flaws and the kinks in the web to repair and restore. So Anthony Kiedis is a dog. He's a dog. He's a dog ass dirty bastard, malignant as the day is long. And the thing that when I first saw this shit about, what did it say? The name of the thought piece on here, I saw about the Red Hot Chili Peppers, was called "The Many Victims of Anthony Kiedis." I said, can I watch this today? Can my spirit take it? Because the conflict for me, maybe not for most people, but I am peculiar because I was a band nerd. I love music in a way that's not like, oh, that's jamming. I like the way that sounds. Because I was raised around musicians, because I am a musician, because all of my dearest friends have always been musicians, I experience music differently. And it's a kind of difference that makes people think like, that's a little deep. It's just a song. And I'm like, no, though, nothing is just a song, right? And so I saw this thing called "The Many Victims of Anthony Kiedis." I was like, let me go ahead and watch this shit. I don't want to. I don't want my childhood listening to the dopest songs they ever made, which was on Blood Sugar Sex Magic. The song they did with Ozzy Osbourne, "The Righteous and the Wicked." Oh my God, that song. It's still one of my favorite songs. They meant that shit. The power of equality. Power of equality is not yet what it ought to be. It fills me up like a hollow tree. Hollow tree. The power of equality. That whole album from beginning, I got goosebumps everywhere. The whole album is jamming. Jamming. The song they do with Ozzy Osbourne, and all he does is sing the hook. Man, Ozzy went in on that joint. Oh my God. Righteous and the wicked, war and peace. POPs, policies of peace. Oh my God, that whole I'm probably gonna be rocking that shit tonight. That's a great ass album. It defined my youth. It did. You know what I'm saying? There's a whole bunch of albums that period of time between 89 and like 92. It was a really powerful, pivotal moment in human history, and everything was affected and infected. That's why the music of that period, 89 to 92, was fucking world changing, permanently transformative. Your ass didn't have to watch the news to know what the fuck was happening in the world, because every song you heard, even the goddamn B-52s, just a cute little poppy band dropping hard ass bombs in they shit. D-Light, man, most people don't even fuck with D-Light. D-Light's second album, which didn't get no play because it was too political. Go back. What was the name of that damn album? It was what was the name of that second album? I don't remember. But D-Light, second album, and everybody was on it. What's his name? Man, everybody was on that shit. Everybody was doing licks on that second album that didn't get no play. What's his name from Arrested Development? The front man for Arrested Development, and a couple of the sisters from Arrested Development. They was on D-Light's second album. Bootsy Collins was on their second album and their first album. Chuck D was on their second album. Q-Tip from A Tribe Called Quest, he was on that second album. Who else was on that second album? Everybody was on that shit. Ain't get no play because it was too political. There was some of the songs are funny, but they were still very powerful for the moment, because this was also the height of the AIDS epidemic. And so at the height of the AIDS epidemic, D-Light drop an album, and one of the main tracks, one of the big tracks on the album is called Rubber Lover, trying to encourage the culture to strap up. Because you have to remember, people didn't wear protection up until this thing started happening in the society in the mid 80s, where it's like, oh, it's not just a disease that's quote affecting gay males. Everybody can get this disease. And so it was a hard sell to get people to start, quote, regularly using condoms. You feel me? She got a song called Rubber Lover. Rubber Lover. Rubber Lover. Hey, hey. And what's the hook? Let's have a good time. Let's have a good time. Whoa, whoa. Let's have a good time. Let's have a good time. Whoa, whoa. What she say? She said, "Ooh, what she say? Ooh, wait. She said, "Oh, don't be timid." I can't remember. There's this little rap thing she do. Don't be something. Take your time when you do the natural thing. It's okay. It's okay. She said something about your loving when you do the natural thing. Something with something because it's really now in fashion. Put your rubber on your ding-a-ling. Put your rubber on the ding-a-ling. Put the rubber on your ding-a-ling. Ding 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 ding. Yeah, I got to hear that shit. She said, look, I ain't fronting about getting the loving. It's a natural thing. You got to do the natural thing. But don't you know that the rubber is fashion? Put your rubber on your ding-a-ling. Ding, 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 ding. Put your rubber on your ding-a-ling. Ding, 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 ding. That was my shit. Oh my God. And then there's another song. It's called, what is it called? What is it called? It was my favorite song on this album. It's called, the name of the song is, y'all tripping about the ding-a-ling song. Now you got to go get the song. Now you got to go download the track. You feel me? But it's, the name of the song is I Had a Dream I Was Falling Through a Hole in the Ozone Layer. That's the name of the song. I had a dream I was falling through a hole in the ozone layer. She said, I had a dream. I had a dream I was falling through a hole in the ozone layer. Horn section. How's it going? Like a child running wild. Oh, this song, y'all. She say, like a child left to run wild in need of care. Look at her reflection, but there's no one there. We've got to stop somewhere. We've got to stop somewhere. We breathe the future, and yet we're choking. We breathe the future, and we started to choke. I see a factory, a blowing purple smoke. I keep the hope spinning, keep the hope spinning, the hope. Keep the hope spinning, keep the hope spinning, the hope. We got the power. It's reflection by the hour. Lies have conspired while fires are burning for 10 months or more. Oh, y'all know what I'm gonna be rocking the rest of the week. That whole album is killing. All they albums is killing, and all they albums is deep like that. But the second one was the deepest one. It really, really was. And it was the least famous one. So you got to get the first one, which was World Click. You got to get the second one. I don't remember the title for whatever reason. And then the third one, this was when they was on a hardcore, like, this was when house music was kind of like morphing. It's still very house, but it was like morphing at this time. The third album, which was called Dewdrops in the Garden, bitch. Lady Miss Care and D-Light, they were popping. They still didn't get the kind of superstardom they deserved, because that bitch was on one way, way, way ahead of her time. But she was a product of her time. She was a product of a time where all the music being produced was deep and profound and still awesome and danceable or rage filled or whatever. I've been listening to the same the same REM. Most of y'all know about REM, but I grew up in Alabama, and they came up literally 20 minutes down the street from us in Austin, Georgia, in Augusta, Georgia. You feel me? But REM did 2 albums in that period of time. They did Green, and they did what was the other one? Green, and I forget the other one. But those 2 albums, if you listen, like, I've been listening to the same REM CD in my car for a month. Literally a month. I haven't changed the CD. Every time I say I'm gonna listen to something different, I turn on the car and it's like my cut. I was like, no, I'm gonna just go ahead, leave the CD in the car. Every song on that album, Green, is so indicative of a energy that was unavoidable in this period of time, 1989 to 1992. Everybody's music was influenced by it because the world was changing so fast. The end of the Cold War, the height of the Satanic Panic, like, it was all unfolding right in that little, the fucking, all them people that killed themselves in San Diego trying to follow after the Hale-Bopp comet, that happened in this period. The damn Waco, Texas massacre by the pigs, that happened in this period. Like, everything was so sharp. Everything was so sharp. Like, you had to take a position. And if you didn't take the right position, unlike today, where the people who are supposed to be leading the movement, leading the charge, have been conditioned to cowardice, while megalomaniacal, weirdo, red hat sporting dum-dums have staged the goddamn takeover. And so what fronts as progressive, now the most rebellious thing that you can do is be gay? That's the most rebellious thing that you can do? Not that this is supposed to be a right for you to set the terms for your own life. That's just a non-issue guarantee. No, the most rebellious that you can be is trans. The most rebellious that you can be is gay. And so that's not nothing against gay people or trans people. I'm saying rebellion is not embedded in the culture anymore. Now it's progressiveness. It's left. What do they call it? It's radical leftism, not rebellion. Rebellion is not seated in this culture. Because I remember a bitch in a big old bouffant wig singing a song about, look, you can get it because sex is natural, but we gonna make it fashionable if we need to, but you're gonna put a rubber on your dingaling. That's it. Like, who is gonna make a song like that right now? You understand what I'm saying? Who is gonna make what was another REM? REM was like covert with their rebellion. I like that. I like overt rebellion. I love Rage Against the Machine. I love Tool. You feel me? Who else was real radical rebellious like that? Outspoken, like fuck the police type of shit all the time. You feel me? I love overtly rebellion because sometimes you just need to yell at some shit, to kick some shit, to jump on somebody's head or some shit. But I really love the intellectual, covert rebellion that's like hidden in a pop song. You feel me? That was REM, because REM was still relatively pop compared because they had nice little happy songs, and they had some songs that were sounded more like folky, but embedded in REM's music from day one was rebellion. Every album, if you listen to it, you'll be like, oh, this just sounds like some corny folk music. If you ain't never heard them, you ain't familiar with it. But if you be in it, you're like, did he just say that shit? Okay. Okay, I see you. I see you with your little mandolin. On some fuck the police shit. Yeah, they were. Yeah, they were. I love that band. And that band just, I guess I'm just being nostalgic right now. That band, REM, they came from a little no town in Georgia. And so every year, for years, as long as I can remember, for years, they would come, quote, back home and do a free concert in the street in this little town. I want to say it's not Augusta. It's another a Georgia name. Athens. God damn it. Athens, Georgia. They were from Athens, Georgia. And Athens, Georgia is a little college town. It's still a small town, but it's a college town. Very, Southern bougie, right? Every year they would come to Athens and do a free concert where the city would block off all the streets for like a 4-block radius. Say it was a free concert. How you were able to get into the concert was to bring 3 canned goods. If you bring 3 canned goods to the concert, you could get into the concert for free. They did that every year. Every year. I mean, thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people. The shit was crazy. Every year, they'd be down on the end of the street, stage propped up on the street, and then all the streets around would be blocked off, and all of these streets around, people would be standing in the street, shoulder to shoulder, listening to REM play a free food drive concert in their hometown. That shit was amazing. That shit was amazing. I guess the reason I'm being kind of nostalgic, I don't know how I got on this, well, is because this shit that's been happening with this person that's in office and the kind of like collective, palpable social despair. And musically, I'm not seeing a reaction to it. Musically, I'm not seeing a response to it. That shit is concerning to me. Like, because I can, in my mind in real time, recall the absolute opposing difference in musical culture in that specific period. I point out that specific period because we're in that period now. I've been talking to y'all astrologically for a couple of years about the fact that this year that we just came out of, that's going to last about 4 years. The last time it was a Saturn-Neptune conjunction. And the last time that happened was from 89 to 91. And that Saturn-Neptune conjunction is supposed to be, that last one is supposed to be indicative of the potential for this moment that we entered into in 2025 and is going to be palpable until 2028. What's happening in 2028? Well, here, the Olympics. What else is happening in 2028? Another election. And so here we've entered this Saturn-Neptune conjunction that's supposed to be palpable and impactful from 2025 until 2020, until 2028, 2030. No, 2028. And the thing that I'm talking about that just seems like simply nostalgic, we're seeing the exact and opposing opposite culturally today from the last time we saw this particular astrological, anomaly occurrence. we're literally seeing in real time the two extreme opposing responses to the state, to power, to war, to despair. It's interesting that I started off talking about the fires, because this to me is also indicative, because in that period of time you saw a unity, not just in general, you saw a unity culturally in particular, and culture was setting the terms for society. Culture was how society was communicating among one another. And so, unlike the culture of 1989 through 1992-ish, where all these lines of cultural expression used to be completely separate. Heavy metal was over here, hardcore was over here, hip hop was over here, hardcore rap was over here, rock and roll rock and roll was over here, country music was over here, and never should they come into contact with one another. 1989, something extraordinary happened. The front man, and it's interesting that I'm mentioning this today, the front man for the band, Jane's Addiction, Perry Farrell, because the band has broken up. This is in 1989. Jane's Addiction is like, we ain't doing this shit no more. So they always been at odds. You feel me? They said, we ain't doing this shit no more. I got a birthday coming up. We'll do one big giant concert as my birthday concert, and our like farewell to our diehard fans. The response from the first concert was so insane, because they were like, if we're not going to perform, which they didn't want to, they were like, if we're not going to perform, we just want to bring all of our favorite bands together to perform as like part of our going away like party. Then all the bands that would ever want to play together at the same time, who would they be? And then they all started rattling off names and sent out invitations to all their favorite bands. And this was how you got the very first concert that would become Lollapalooza. And on that very first ticket in 1989 was everybody. Oh my God. I was a kid, so I knew I wasn't going. I think I was like 11, but I remember everybody who was on that motherfucking ticket. I lamented about it for years. I wish I could have gone to the first one. Jane's Addiction did perform. They did end up performing. Jane's Addiction, Susie and the Banshees. That bitch. I love her so much. I love that bitch. I love that bitch. Now y'all know we say bitch because she the goddess. You feel me? Susie Sue from Susie and the Banshees. I love this woman. Okay. Ice-T and his hardcore band called Body Count. I don't know if y'all remember that. Some of you too young. But Ice-T had a hardcore death metal band called Body Count. His band became his band actually became the ingredient that made Bill Clinton president of the United States. Sure did. If Bill Clinton became president of the United States, it is because hip hop and the Black Power movement gave something that Clinton could win with. Because the three musicians, the three bands that Bill Clinton actually centered a huge part of his presidential campaign around. First of all three of them were Black. It was Sister Soldier. It was Ice-T and his hardcore band Body Count. And it was Two Live Crew. Two Live Crew was the first whole band in history to be arrested for what they call explicit lyrics and performance. They got arrested. And so, because this was a hot topic, because all these hardcore so-called gangster rappers were coming out, and everybody was clutching their pearls over NWA and Eazy-E. This was like the perfect ingredient that Bill Clinton needed, because he was boring as hell, and he needed some juice. And Sister Soldier became perfect. public enemy number one. Especially when that video she did. What was the name of that video? It's not slavery is back in effect. I can't remember the name of it, but I can see it right in my eyes. And so all the Jews came out. It was like, this black bitch. Well, Jews was hot because she put in that second video, the mayor was a Negro mayor, but all the city, you know, city's most important people, business owners and stuff like that. She had the Negro sitting in a private meeting, where all these white suit and tie guys, like bankers or whatever, is sitting on one side of the table. And all these Hasidic Jews, like with their little curly cues, and they had like fully dressed Hasidic Jews sitting on this long table. And there's one Negro who's supposed to be the mayor. He's groveling. And the Jews are talking about these black wilding youth. You just let them run wild like animals in the streets. And then the white suit and tie business money moguls or whatever, they were like, what you gonna do about these niggas? I'll call the police tomorrow. I'm so sorry. It was, y'all gotta go back and see Sister Soul's videos, because she was hard. She wasn't no great rapper. She wasn't trying to be. She's like, if I can put my rage on a hook and no motherfuckers will listen to it, that's all we got to do. She wasn't no hardcore lyricist. But when she do that first video, and the first video, which is slavery's back in effect, and there's like chanting going on in the background, but very like soldier, 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 and then all of a sudden the music stops and you hear an announcement. And so everybody's turning to their radio or turning to their TV, like a perfect public service announcement when they do that beep on your phone or whatever. And then the guy starts talking to supposedly like tell you what you're supposed to be doing. And he says that he is President David Duke, because that was one of the opponents back at that time. The head of the Klan, David Duke, he was running for president. And he said, so the video is made as if, listen, the video was made as if David Duke had won. What would happen if David Duke had won? I can't believe I'm remembering this. So anyway, David Duke said, this is your president, David Duke. And it has come to our attention that Black people are failing in every way, that they are not this and this and this and this and that and that and this and this and this and this and this and this and this, right? Black people fucked up in the game. They aren't excelling. They're making too many babies, all that shit. And we have no other choice to put slavery back in effect. That's what he said. We have no other choice. Let me tell you something about astrology. God damn. He said we have no choice but to put slavery back in effect. We are going to set up stations where Black people can turn themselves in. The only people exempt from this new law are officers of the law and active military. I repeat, slavery is back in effect. And then Sister Soldier come up and she says, "We are at war." That's what I told you. Woo, that damn video, baby. Woo! She did that shit. And she got bullets. You know, them little bullet casings? She got bullets across both her goddamn chest. She got her little heavy artillery on her arm while she got a little hand piece. She go to the hideout spot where all the brothers is there, and the brothers and the sisters, and they learning how to deconstruct and reassemble their guns, and they taking target practice and this and that and that. So while she said, what's she saying? Ooh, what's she saying? Ooh. I remember the stories my mama used to I remember the stories my mama used to show me. Told me, remember the time when they bought and they sold you? We are at war. That's what I told you. She said, what she say? She said, Who would have thought it could happen here in the land of the free, the home of the brave? The year is 95. You're a slave. God damn. Some shrieking holler when they hear the news. Some shrieking holler when they hear the bad news. She said that shit in 1995? She said the year is 95. You're a slave. I remember the stories my mama used to tell me, or my mama used to show me. Boy, what's your name? Toby. Remember the time when they bought and they sold you? We are at war. That's what I told you. Slavery's back in effect. Slavery's back in effect. That's what I told you. Slavery's back in effect. She said, I tried to tell you. Shoot. I tried to show you something. But now it's too late. Woof. She said, I tried to tell you, but now it's too late. Something, this and whatever. That video go hard. It was so timely. Yes, it was. Because here the fuck we are. She said the year is 95. You a slave. And here we are in 2025. And these motherfuckers, these men are rolling down the street. Do you know that another man in Texas was arrested 2 days ago? Full ass military grade outfit. Actively detaining somebody on the side of the road. Got his little light, his flashlight out. He look official. Full like FBI military grade fatigues, armed, gun in holster, knocking clink 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 on the driver's side window, is actively engaged in illegal activity when a good Samaritan comes up and says, look, I'm just gonna record you because this looks suspect. Why you need to see their ID? Have you shown them your ID? This person, of course, it was a white person. You need to recognize your privilege as a white person. Your ass is way less likely to die because you got out your car and you wanted to be an advocate for this person you didn't know when this what you call them? ICE agents roll up on your car. So she starts asking him questions. Where your badge? What's the charge? This and this and this and this. And so he starts walking off. She's like, now I know this shit suspect. Come to find out, his ass was a civilian. No military history whatsoever. No law enforcement evidence. Background whatsoever. And this was not the first time he had been seen trying to abduct somebody under the auspice that his ass was fucking ICE. And here it is. 30 years after she wrote that goddamn song about an open white nationalist that takes the reins, that ends up taking the reins of power personified in the United States government. And the first declaration he makes over the news is because you Negroes ain't civil based on the standards that we set, so we have no choice but to put slavery back in effect. I got to go back and start rocking that shit. Now, I don't know how I got on any of that, but music has a story to tell. It does. As soon as I heard about this Saturn Neptune conjunction, how powerful it was, the fall of the Cold War, and all stuff that was happening, the very first thing I started to do was to compile in a playlist on my YouTube channel all the music that I remember loving and having a serious impact on me from that period. Is in the folder. I bet y'all don't remember that song by Tracy Chapman. And no, I'm not talking about Fast Car. Though it's a dope ass song. You got a fast car. I got I don't even remember the lyrics. You got a fast. Anyway, that's a jam, but that ain't the one I'm talking about. Tracy Chapman wrote a song don't nobody talk about no more, but it was massive, giant, huge when it came out. It's called Revolution. How it go? Ooh. Anyway, that's one to put on your list. That's one to put on your list. It is Revolution by Tracy Chapman. Goes so hard. I forgot about the song until I started looking up some of my favorite songs from that period of time. I was like, damn, I forgot about that song. That shit was the jam, right? Now I'm gonna shut up. Let's see. 3 hours. I'm still on a mission. I'm still on a mission to bust a record right here. Okay, let's see. So now I'm gonna tell you about the book that I wrote in 24 hours. Yep. Well, about 48 hours. Being on what I be being on. What is that? What I be being on? Huh? I be being on I be being on some divine downloads. I be in one of them divine downloads, and then I end up going on a study wormhole that is completely unreasonable. Well, I went on this little journey. Let's see. Yep. Y'all about to be tripping. So what happened was, I don't even remember. It was some kind of like trigger event on Sunday. Right now I don't even remember what it was, but in this event, I don't know if it was politically or what, but Saturn showed herself again. I was like, all right, well, what I'm gonna do this time, which I never ever ever do, I'm a jeez. What I'm gonna do is, because I call myself trying to be quick. Instead of just trying to research it, I'm just gonna ask ChatGPT. I rarely ever use ChatGPT. I said, let me just use ChatGPT to get the quick version of this question that doesn't require me to sit here and go into no long ass wormhole for a simple question. So this was the question. I saved my conversation with ChatGPT. So this is what I'm calling my book. I saved my question, my query with all of a sudden my freaking teeth hurt. But it's probably that my freaking cortisol level's been through the goddamn roof. And the other thing that's happened with the stress, the stress that I've been under for the last month, and particularly the last 2 weeks, it's like there's so much in my head that I want to do. I keep saying every day, I just need to take like an hour to myself to just create something, just make something, right? But even my general like will, like my desire, it's like my head says, you got to create something, baby, you got to create something. But it's like under this kind of pressure, it's like something happens to your creative spirit, like your heart trying to like leap into something. I haven't felt it. It's been really uncomfortable and problematic because It's like there's so much I want to do, but I don't feel like creative. There's so many projects I'm so excited about, but these last couple of weeks have just been poisonous, really. And so when I sat down here on Sunday, I was going to ask a quick couple of questions because something came through and I didn't want to do the research for it. I just wanted to find the answer quick so it could lead me in the right direction. So the question I said, sorry. I said, who would she be? Oh. I said, who would she be if Saturn was a goddess before it changed to the male archetypes of Cronus and Saturn? Mm. Mm. All right. That was the question. Pretty straightforward. Um, Chat GPT said, if Saturn had originally been conceptualized as a goddess prior to the later recasting into the male archetypes of Cronus and Saturn, she would most plausibly have embodied a primordial female spirit or female principle of cyclical time, harvest, and inexorable necessity, rather than the later patriarchal figure of tyrannical linear time. Below is a historically symbolically grounded reconstruction of who she would have been. And of course, the problem, I don't want to bring this up on screen because the problem is whenever I try to bring anything up on screen, I can't scroll. But it's a picture of the Venus, the fat one with the BB shots, holding her boobies like this. She just holding her boobies like this. And her belly big like mine. And she just holding her boobies like this, right? So of course, now this is how so let me just give you a little overview. This is how the discussion started. I'm just gonna look up a couple of things about Saturn, right? Let ChatGPT tell me what it thinks. That little discussion with ChatGPT ended up being 390 pages. 390 pages. Asking deep ass questions. I was like, shit, I didn't even expect this. Hold on, let me ask you something else. So I just want to read a few of the end. But this is my book. This is my book. Yep, this is the book. So this was in about 16 hours. This was about 16 hours. 390. Oh, no, what? Yeah. 390 pages. 390 pages. Okay. So the next question was, no, I'm going to do this better because there were so many not mind-blowing months. Oh man, I'm getting sleepy again. What I'm gonna do, you know what? Instead, I'm gonna do is so what I did was after having this 390 page discussion with ChatGPT, I had it formatted in 3 different ways so I can upload it on my Etsy to start selling. So what I'm going to do is spend a couple of days just proofreading it, because it's hard to argue with a computer. You feel me? Anyway, so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna pump the brakes on this. 390 pages. This is gonna be my book. Chat GPT has already formulated it into a book. And it's not like, first of all, it's dope because some of the breakthroughs, I was like, oh my God, yes. It was so simple. Why did I not see that? Because this society is beating you in the head so that you don't recognize like divine timing, intervention, that type of stuff. So I'm gonna upload it on the Etsy store. I'm gonna sell it. But the condensed quote book formulated version delivered by Chat GPT, because there was a lot in there that I would have taken out. Like, no, we ain't gonna have this shit up in our Bible. You know what I'm saying? So going back and proofing it. But I did that in one night. And was fighting to get away from the computer. I did all of that in one night. And so I have my first book. Fine tooth comb it, upload it everywhere. And yeah. Well, I'm gonna say good night. This is absolutely a record. 3 hours and 30 minutes. What? It was definitely a record. But I've been sitting here all day. And I can tell now that my eyes are getting heavy. I need the toothpicks to hold my eyelids open. But I'm gonna proof this a little. I want to read excerpts from it to you though, because some of the stuff was just fire. So tomorrow I'll try to maintain some discipline. I hate that word. And do an earlier live and read portions of this piece that I really resonated with the most. So now I'm gonna say good night, so I don't sit up in here and fall asleep and sitting up. But check out the music I told you about. It'll change your disposition. Mommy and I are one. I have a great night. And yeah, that'll do. Yeah, man. Oh, let's see what I did. Hmm.